Like sometimes people in your family have said something to you, tell you a real hard truth, and you've been like, damn, like you're an asshole. I've never been afraid to be that person.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Empire, where we like to engage with everyone from pastors to actors, rappers to trappers, and everybody in between. And guess what? We have another great guest for today. But before we get into it, y'all should know the deal. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're trying to build this up. We're doing great work out here. I keep hearing great things, so come on and support, do that. My name is Antonio the Miles. I am your host. Yes, Antonio the Miles, the one and only. Yes, your host. If you guys want to support with that cash back, that digital cash greenbacks, y'all can do our Cash App, which is $THEE Empire Podcast. The same for Venmo and for PayPal, paypal.me/The Empire Podcast and all that good jazz. And we can keep on going and talking and rowing like a boat, but we're going to be stoning like they did motherfuckers back when they were bowing. Yeah, I just made that up. Anyway, we're going to get into our amazing guest who, everyone seems to love around this place. And we're going to find out more about this gentleman who is, and I'll let him correct me if I am wrong, the councilman for San Bernardino for the for the 5th Ward of San Bernardino. And that gentleman's name is Ben Reynoso. Welcome to the Empire, Ben.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Gotcha, man. Did I get everything right?
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, yeah, he's district to ward. Yeah, we're wards. Ward 5.
Yeah, wards.
Yeah, Councilman Ben Reynoso, Ward 5, San Bernardino, North Side.
North Side. Got it right. Got it good. Hey, we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Sometimes, people don't know how hard some of this stuff is to try to be on point, be
Oh, it's
a
lot of information. You're good.
You know what I mean? So I like how you said North End. It made me think about Cam Gnarly. Shout out to Cam. Yeah. He's always talking about North End.
Yeah, man.
So basically, you're his council member.
I'm his council member.
Wow, wow.
That's cool.
We need to get you on the new album then too. Shit, the North End Gnarly. That'd be dope.
I'm ready to bump it.
Right?
In the North End specifically.
Low key, huh?
Yeah. High key. Yeah.
Oh, high key. He's like fucking not even low key. I fuck with it, man. How's your day been, Ben?
It's been good, man. Busy, just being out there, just having fun, raising my daughter and trying to be a dad first, man. That's where I'm at these days.
Got you.
Yeah. Most time people ask me that question, how's it going? I think about how was my time with my daughter today? And then the rest of the stuff comes in. Yeah. But it's been fun.
Got you. So are you able to live a life where you can have that time for your daughter?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think because my job is remote, not the council role. Most people don't know, but council members, we don't make enough money in the council role to actually just be a council member. It's ideal, but typically the job has pretty much historically been held by retired people because those are the people who have a pension who can afford it to kind of do this as a hobby almost, if you will, versus being a young person and wanting to be extremely passionate, or not wanting to be, being extremely passionate and having to support your family. So I have a day job.
Yeah. I found out, and I guess it depends on what city or state you are in, right? Where either councilmen or council members are paid and not like a living wage or not, right?
Yeah.
But San Bernardino has been historically known for not paying that well of a wage, right?
Yeah.
Ironically, you would think people who are in charge of the policies in the city would be able to have a living wage so that way they can focus more on their energy on the city.
Right. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a full-time job to be a council member. Yeah.
Wow. And we'll definitely get into that, folks. We'll definitely get into that. And so, oh man, there's so many things I want to ask, but we'll jump into it. But Ben, so, I remember when I first heard it, and I think I was talking to Damon Alexander, and his secretary mentioned it to me. She said, "Yeah, you may not know this, but a lot of the council members have other jobs because the city doesn't provide that."
Yeah.
Do you think that's ever going to change, where there's ever going to be enough?
Well, I'll be honest, and it was pretty controversial, but we bumped the council member salary because you had a mayor in a charter city that doesn't really have any authority or anything like that. Not a lot of power in that role, but was being paid over $100,000. and we don't need over $100,000, but we're the people who actually make the decisions, the 7 council members, and we're being paid $14,000 a year, like totally.
Gotcha.
And so we actually bumped it. Wasn't my idea to promote it, but then the number that was floated and we passed it, I think on a 5-2 vote, was from 14,000 to 37,000.
Okay.
Yeah, because we got to make it more attractive for younger people. That's my thing. Is like you're going to lure better candidates and people who actually take the role seriously. Versus when I ran, I wasn't really thinking about the money at all. But after I got elected, and I felt like the weight of the role, it was very clear to me, like, yo, it would be nice if I didn't have to do another job, if I could just like do this. And so anything that supplements it, like it's that extra inspiration on a Saturday night when there's an event and it's maybe not like the most favorable thing for the people or things like that. But I understand now, like, presence is a lot of this role, that I have that extra incentive to do a lot of the stuff that I wouldn't really want to do. I'd rather be in the streets talking to people, knocking on doors. But sometimes also, like, I need a little incentive for that too. Because people are, man, I'm tired. Sometimes I'm tired. Like, that's just real.
I just want to take my shoes off and just chill.
Yeah, I just want to chill sometimes. I just want to watch a movie at home.
That part.
Yeah.
I want to watch the new Blade.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Gotcha. Is there going to be a new Blade? I was just joking.
There is. Mahershala Ali. He's going to play
Really?
Blade. Yeah. Heard they're rewriting the script too.
Really? I think Wesley could still do it.
He could definitely. I would love to see an old Wesley Snipes be Blade.
He can still do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for the Spawn. I'm waiting for them to remake a Spawn.
Yeah.
Because like with the technology we have now, oh my goodness.
Already. Time to go down that.
That part.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that you're saying, or correct me if I'm wrong, but you just said that the mayor doesn't have that much power in a charter city.
Yeah.
But they're making at least $100,000.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We clipped it. We clipped that. Oh yeah. From I think it was like 120 to 50,000.
Okay.
So the mayor still makes more, but $50,000 a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what is, I guess I can talk to Helen about this if I can get a hold of her again. I probably will. So what in your perspective, what does a mayor do if technically the council members kind of have a little bit more power, I guess, than she does?
The mayor does get to vote, but only in the unique circumstance that there is a four vote affirmative out of 7 of us. If it's only at 4, 5 is a solid majority. Nothing can be done, but there's 4 votes to the affirmative. The mayor could veto it. She can cancel it.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually experienced that with the last mayor on some pretty pivotal items. But that's the real power of the mayor. The veto, and obviously ceremonial, like to be out there, like we have day jobs.
Yeah.
The mayor needs to be out there, like it's an event with a bunch of cities. City of San Bernardino needs a representative there. It's the mayor.
The mayor goes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But also on all of our commissions, like planning, animal shelter, public safety, human relations, parks and rec, council members get 1 appointee. The mayor gets 2 per board. So that's like a little weight there. It is some power before we actually see final things that make it through the planning commission, parks and rec. They all go through the process of going through those commissions and then being voted on by the council. And so when we see an end product, it is actually because more often than not, depending on the makeup of the boards, the mayor, her 2 appointments might have tipped a vote or something like that, and it ends up in front of us, and maybe it wasn't something that we had agreed with personally or our commissioner agreed with personally, but that is something that hasn't been changed when the charter came into effect in 2016.
Gotcha. So when you say appointees, does that mean like her vote, basically?
It's her vote. It's 2 individuals.
She gets 2 and you guys get 1?
Like she could appoint you to be the Parks and Rec commissioner, and then there would be another person as well, though, versus I have 1 Parks and Rec commissioner. So it looks just like a council, but it's like each of these respective commissions that are responsible and dedicated to each different sector, like parks only. Human safety and public relations is more like the public works and police oversight kind of thing. And that one's a particular one. But there would be 7 members, but then the mayor gets 2, so there's 9 members on each of these boards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. It's getting good already. Ben, for people who may not know who you are and what you do, can you please tell us all who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Ben Reynoso. My full name is actually Benjamin Jose Christmas Reynoso, and I like to lay that out because Ben Christmas is a man I'm named after. My mother's father has since passed away, but my mother is from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Father's from East LA, San Gabriel specifically. But Ben Reynoso is who I've been essentially my entire life in California. Oddly enough, in the South, I'm actually Ben Christmas. Most people don't really know me as Ben Reynoso. But I'm Ben Reynoso. I'm 31 years old now. I was elected when I was 28. I've been involved here in San Bernardino, honestly, since pretty much right when I moved here in 2004. Civically engaged, getting people registered to vote and things like that. But what I actually do is I'm a council member, elected in 2020. I'm responsible for the north end. That's pretty much the East Street bend when you're going up, like at the top of the East Street bend. Wraps on the side where Rite Aid used to be in the Stater Brothers, goes all the way down the left side of the street, down Kendall. And then once you get to Baker's and Little Mountain Drive, cut straight up all the way to Cal State, and I'm responsible for everything beyond there to the west. And then my day job, I work in occupational safety and health, but mostly I've been an organizer, and that's still a title that I carry. It's like not really a community organizer so much. These days I am an occupational safety and health organizer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it kind of like intertwines with the two a little bit, right?
It's always touching. Yeah.
It's always touching.
Yeah. I work mostly in LA though. Yeah,
oh, wow.
For sure. On purpose.
Okay,
you
good.
Split it up. Yeah.
And low key kind of get to learn a little bit about both worlds by being in it.
Definitely.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
What's two things that you've seen that's vastly different and vastly similar between the two?
Oof. LA and IE?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would say vastly different is, I would say the political makeup of cities, that they're more left-leaning, if you will, when it comes to their policies. Like it's a lot easier to get things done, like rent control on local levels. They have a lot of warehouses, but they don't really deal with the indiscriminate kind of concentration of like warehousing that we have here in the Inland Empire. So vastly different in regards to like planning and their zoning. They prioritize in most cities out there and representatives there, like commercial, like small business development, metropolitan kind of corridors, like bringing business in and bringing a lot of money.
Yeah.
Versus San Bernardino, Riverside County, we've essentially over the past 20 years, we've seen a total concentration and focus on the business that we need here is e-commerce. So let's build these big boxes and this will be our money. If something else comes that's beneficial on top of it, sure, we'll take it. My personal bias, that's how I viewed it as a person outside of council and inside of council. I think what we also have in common though, like drastically different when it comes to planning like that, the actual makeup of the cities. But what we do have in common is an unfortunate kind of inability to weed out corruption totally when you're talking about politicians specifically, because that's the realm that I'm discussing here. The kind of money that goes into people's pocket. The same people who are building warehouses here are building shopping centers in LA, but it's the same money going into politicians' coffers for their next reelection campaign, or whatever kind of fund that they raise. Like we saw the last mayor had like a legal defense fund and he was constantly fundraising for that.
Interesting.
But it was the same kind of, it's the same, literally like some of the same players, same developers building something much more attractive in Los Angeles. And then less attractive here, like a warehouse. But you've got a politician there still receiving money from them for their campaigns to make decisions on their behalf, developers' behalf. And then you've got the same thing over here. But we just get a warehouse and a politician who's willing to support it. Yeah.
Wow. But it'd be like under the same umbrella of
same umbrella. Yeah. The money's all coming from the same place. It's just turning out to be different when it comes to actually implementing things.
Would that be kind of considered like lobbying in a way?
It's absolutely lobbying. Okay. Yeah, that's the most polite way to say it.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
And I think I learned of a word, and correct me if I'm wrong, from Damon, the Brown Act? Is that it?
Oh, yeah, the Brown Act. It's basically the guidelines for how we are legally bound to operate. Like we can't discuss 7 council members if it makes up a quorum. So 4 of us together would be enough to like make a decision, like I was mentioning before, separate from a mayor's veto. But if 4 of us were to get together and we were discussing a topic, anything, period, we're not even allowed to all get together, all 4 of us, because it'd be like we're having a council meeting without a council meeting being agendized. That's part of the Brown Act. You have to notify people a certain amount of time before a meeting, emergency meetings, etc. What you can and can't do during the meeting, limiting public comment. The reason speakers get 3 minutes per, and if you need a translator, that it's double. That's Brown Act rules.
Okay.
Basically like the entire rule for how you got to do this thing legally.
Gotcha. So no company picnic.
Yes, those are like the exceptions. When we have we had a press conference recently, and we would have all been allowed to be there because it was kind of noticed that publicly. It's a gray line though, definitely, as we find in life, right? Like if somebody really wanted to come after us, they could come after us for a company picnic, for the council members showing up, because no one tells us Like, hey, four of us are like, there's 4 council members here. Like 3 of you, I've called you. Like, you got to stay home, or something like that. The city attorney is supposed to protect us from things like that. But a company picnic, like you mentioned, it's a good example. It wouldn't be seen as something like that versus us at a restaurant or us like sitting in a park and it's just us.
Got you. Got you. Yeah. So basically, you can't play dominoes with 3 other members.
No.
Damn.
No.
No dominoes for them folks.
Yeah, that's it.
Fuck. I can just imagine. Never mind. But Ben, I think you told us a little bit about having family in Mississippi, being named after your mother's father. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a brief story about how you grew up, where you grew up, all the way up to where we are today?
Whew. Yeah. I've told this a couple times. Yeah. So I was definitely born into a decaying family. So my parents were married. Gotcha. I was the youngest boy of 3 older sisters.
When you say decaying, what do you mean?
That they got a divorce when I was 5.
Okay.
And it definitely was on its way to a divorce probably before I was born.
Okay.
So I use the word decay.
Okay. Very poetic.
Yes, I was born to my family. They wanted a boy forever, and life happened. My father actually had a stroke when I was 5. From Chino, California, where I was born. So I was born in Chino until the age of 5. Dad had a stroke. I went to go live with my grandparents in Hacienda Heights with my sister. So I lived in Chino to Hacienda Heights. But before my parents divorced, I was going to Mississippi with my mom. My mom would take off to Mississippi because small town stuff, like you can't stay away from your family for too long. That's the benefit. Like I have family from here in LA that knows kind of more of a conditional love, because not by their choice, but more so by the inability to really just like relax like fully. Yeah. It's almost like anxiety's in the air here versus down there it's just still. Your 6th cousin lives right down the street. I've seen my 3rd cousins here from this side of the family maybe like twice my entire life, versus in the South, like my 6th cousin's like my best friend type thing, But from birth in Chino, California, so I was born in the IE till 5. Dad had a stroke. Had to watch him learn he was an educator, a principal too, read, write, walk and talk again, drive. I watched him like relearn how to like be a human again. Lived with my grandparents during that time till I was about 7 in Hacienda Heights, East LA. And then from Hacienda Heights, we moved back to Ontario to Inglewood when my dad got married again. And from Inglewood to Long Beach, California, where I started going to elementary there. And then from Long Beach to Carson, California. And Carson until I was 12. And then my parents being divorced, I saw my mom on the weekends, did a lot of public transportation. I was on the Metrolink every weekend. Like when we lived in LA, my mom lived in Upland still with my older sister and my nephews. And so I would get on the train, I'd get on the Green Line over there near Hawthorne to Union Station down to Upland. My mom would come meet us on the train. And then back. And then after Hurricane Katrina, my mom came back and lived over in Cali in LA, but we had moved to San Bernardino when I was 12. And so it was the opposite.
Switched.
Yeah. I know it's a lot, but from when I was 12 in Carson, halfway through 7th grade, my parents, that first semester of 7th grade, came down here a lot looking for a house because we were renting.
Got you. San Bernardino area?
Yeah, looking at San Bernardino specifically because it was cheaper. It was much more affordable back then. And I was notified basically that you're going to go back to Mississippi for this first time since the divorce to like meet with my family again. I hadn't seen them in 7 years.
Gotcha.
And when I came back, I was going to be coming back not to my home in Carson where all my friends were and we played outside every day. You know, I grew up playing at 21, like every day playing basketball and everything. I was going to be coming back to San Bernardino. And so halfway through 7th grade, come back after that winter break, came here. And from 7th grade till my senior year in high school, I was in San Bernardino, Arrowview Middle School, Cajon High. Played football and water polo. And then when I graduated high school, went to Mount Sac for a semester. To be frank, totally fucking off.
What do you mean?
Like partying, just chasing girls. Like the priority wasn't school for me. It was playing water polo, being close to my teammates, and just figuring myself out. Gotcha. Because I moved out of my dad's house in San Bernardino when I was 18. Okay. But I ended up moving in with my best friend, Michael Segura over here. And but I still stayed in San Bernardino, just different part, same ward. I found out like I actually
Hilarious.
bounced around in the 5th ward like my whole life, or my whole time here. But then I was living with my grandparents, and being a young man, had a little money, I was working, being a lifeguard in San Bernardino. And so I got my car, and I was kind of just like living like a free bird. But grandparents, they expect to be able to like just be real cool with you, and this sweet relationship that grandparents have with their grandchildren, where it's like not difficult at all. I was definitely partying and like coming in late and all that kind of stuff. And so
in
my
their
grandparents,
house?
not in their house, but I was coming late to their house,
Yeah.
at like 1 a.m. and stuff like that. And they didn't have to deal with that since raising my parents probably, or my dad. And so I lasted that summer of 2010 after senior year at Mount Sac, and then the fall of Mount Sac playing water polo. And then I went to Mississippi again. I've been going to Mississippi since I was 12, every Christmas. Like, that's been tradition.
Wow.
And I'm excited to go right now. But I went to Mississippi in 2010 for that winter break. And I decided 2 days before I was coming back that I wasn't going to come back. That I needed the slow motion pace of the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. I loved being around my family. But also I just knew, like, if I go back, I'm just going to get deeply, deeply lost in the sauce. Like, I was already on my way to just like, I didn't care about anything. It was like, what's next that we're doing? Like, period. It didn't really matter what it was. Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to be able to concentrate on myself and figure myself out.
Got you.
And Mississippi gave me that. I ended up going to school down there for 6 years. Came back in 2016, worked in foster care in Simi Valley.
Why'd you choose foster care?
My sister was actually the mental health director, so I got hooked up.
Nepotism works.
Nepotism does work sometimes, for sure. I'm grateful for it, and it was like incredible to work with my sister.
Okay.
And like help to heal these girls as much as we could, but more so like when I think of healing, it was like for both of us, like becoming a family with children who were abandoned, abused, and totally just done wrong, not only by society, but in particular their families, like their immediate families.
Got you.
And creating that like home environment. But from there, I ended up working for another agency in South Central, LA, and I became a case manager. I ended up like running my own group home.
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool. While I was living on my sister's couch when I first came back, 2016, in Sherman Oaks. Just her tiny little 1-bedroom apartment. Of course, she got tired of me. She's a single woman.
That part. Get out.
Yeah. So I had to get out. Moved to Gardena for a little bit, right on the borderline in Compton. At my aunt's former partner is like an office turned bedroom. The bed was as big as the room in 2018.
Wow.
Like as big as the room. Real humbling, but I'm a simple dude, man.
This is 2018?
This is 2018.
Wow.
And then I was working from there, got my own apartment with my partner at the time in Long Beach, Cali. Still working in South Central during that time. And
were you still in foster care?
I was still working in foster care. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I started going to grad school too at the same time at Loyola for education, because I wanted to be a professor still. Like, politics isn't forever, man. I want to teach like American literature at a university for sure.
Okay.
Because I love that, man.
Interesting. About foster care, there's a lot of, going back to like corruption and stuff like that, there's a lot of like
It's crooked.
ill things in the foster care system, right?
Yeah. The company I worked for actually does not exist anymore, because I think about a year or maybe a year and a half after we stopped, the woman I was working for, her son took over like a lot. It was like a mass exodus. Like, there was no abuse there and things like that, but a lot of the staff they were over it. They didn't feel supported by management, because it's hard. That field is really hard, man.
Yeah.
It's not forever, for sure not.
Yeah.
But her son ended up coming in and wearing like 4 different hats, like program coordinator, director, mental health director.
Okay.
And so he decided he was going to pay himself accordingly.
Oh.
And so the state got on him, and that was it. Yeah, it was embezzlement. Essentially, that's embezzlement.
Okay.
Yeah. It's embezzlement.
Wow. Because I also heard different things, like, sometimes people will use the system to like foster parents will use it for like getting extra money.
Oh, for sure.
Or
for sure.
trafficking.
Yeah. It's dark. No, it gets gritty too. I've heard some terrible stories. Girls who come from other facilities, like who came to our group home, like of just blatantly, like, some of these girls were raped after being like entering the foster system. This is just heavy stuff, man. it definitely like sits with me. It polarized me though in 2018. I knew that it was time because I always knew that I was going to run for office eventually. I just didn't know if I was going to run for mayor in my mom's hometown in Mississippi because I was extremely active. I had like my own radio show down there on the coast of Mississippi.
Dope.
Yeah,
Why'd you start a radio show?
Somebody invited me. One of my mom's older friends invited me on her show about, it's called like The Flip Side, Bennietta Hatchet. And it would just be like surface level. It's a religious radio station.
Okay.
I'm not really religious. I was raised Catholic, but I believe in God and I have a strong faith, but like I don't need the church for that. And this radio station was basically focused a bunch of shows around that. But this lady had invited me on one time. So my mom was talking me up and I was like, Mom, I don't want to go. Like, what do you, like, I don't want to. She's like, go be on this show. Like, just try it out. Just talk to him. And I went and I sat down with him one time and I guess I impressed him when he talked about education and like classroom sizes and things in California and kind of like structural policy, things that could change. They offered me my own show and it was like a 15-minute show. And,
wow.
and I like to think it was successful because they started putting disclaimers before the show would come on that this show has no reflection, no bearing on Rejoice, 1190 a.m.,
Hilarious.
Because people didn't love it.
We have no affiliation with this blasphemous man.
Exactly. Because I was dropping real stuff. I was talking like war on drugs, like water contamination and stuff on a local level. Things that were probably way too hard. There were some things that I definitely shared, like about like water and the quality of water down there.
In Mississippi?
Yeah, that I know. It's like when you open that box, like you can't close it, and then you just create like a paranoia sometimes.
Okay.
And I definitely did that sometimes. Yeah, it was like too much, you know. Became aware of like how much people can handle too through that. It was like experimentation. Yeah, socially, I guess you would say.
It's social experimentation, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it was a good time. Man.
Maybe you were
Mississippi.
sent by God to.
Nah, I don't say that kind of stuff because I've heard people say that about politics, and I like really. Someone told me recently, a candidate actually running for office, that he felt like it was a Joshua to Moses moment, and I haven't read enough of the Bible to know the particulars, but I know who Joshua and Moses, and it was like God told you to run for office.
Oh,
God
I was talking
didn't
about the
tell me
radio
to run for
station,
office.
but okay.
Oh,
Let's talk about the radio station.
I want to air it all out, dude. This is a unique place, and people need to know what's going on, man.
Gotcha.
So you got a little bit of that going on.
Gotcha. Do you know the story about Moses and Joshua?
Not fully, no.
Okay, so basically the story about Moses and Joshua. So obviously, I'm pretty sure that you know about Moses setting the people free,
Sure.
right, to go to the promised land. Mm-hmm. But the thing is let's put it this way. God had a gripe with Moses. Moses did a couple of things that God didn't like. And so God was like, you know what, Moses, I'm not going to allow you to finish the trip. Right? I'm going to allow Joshua's going to be the one that's actually going to get the people to the chosen land. And so basically that's kind of what happened.
Damn, you just put it in perspective for me. When I heard that quote, that means the person who told me sees the person in the seat now as Moses and they're Joshua. Yeah.
Finish the work.
A little bit of righteousness in this. Got to acknowledge it. Like we all think we could do it better. Like the reason I ran for office, I knew I could do it better than the last person.
Hey, sorry, and I think that's
it's okay to say sometimes.
Important, really, right? Because it puts like the fire and the battery in your back and stuff like that. Yeah. You know. But let's continue our story. You know, 2018, you're sleeping on the couch and thinking about becoming mayor in Mississippi, right?
Yeah, my mom was devastated when I moved because
from Mississippi.
Back to California.
Okay.
I fell in love is why I really stayed.
Okay.
But for me, California, the longer I lived in Mississippi, the less I wanted to live in California. Like this place, as incredible as California is, I surf and I love the beach. But beyond that, traffic while I was living there, it was like an hour each way to work, hour and 20 minutes. Broke me, man. Like it definitely, and it's breaking people currently. Like just to sit in traffic all day.
Yeah.
NPR got me through, you know. Like,
it really did. It
some
actually, I guess it really helps.
It does. NPR does. Radio, it gets you through. Not the music stations for me so much. But 2018, working at foster care, going to grad school, just full load. You know, I was waking up probably 5:30 every day, got to work about 6:45. And from there, they had I think what they call like the professional schedule at Loyola, where the grad classes don't even start until 4:30.
Okay.
Because I would have loved the option to have taken like a day off of work, like during the week, and like knock my class out and be home at a normal time.
Yes.
I would get home at 10 o'clock every night. Parking in Long Beach was terrible. Yeah, I would keep my my longboard in my trunk because I would have to park almost a mile away from my house or my apartment in Long Beach because the parking is just terrible. And I would get home at 10 o'clock at night.
Yuck.
So I was gone like all day, like 3-4 days out of the week. But 2018 ended, or it was coming to an end, and my lease was coming up. And we were on the month to month. My partner at the time, we were both from San Bernardino, and I didn't think that she wanted to go yet. But for me, I was like, you know what? I got school right here. Like, I can make it to work. But she started pressing me. She was like, let's go back. Like, I want to go back now. And I was like, damn.
Okay.
Like, all right. Like, I'm ready too. Like, let's go then.
Let's do it.
2018, came back and just hit the ground running, man. Got involved with the ICUC, the Inland Congregations United for Change, which I had started with when I was 14. Had a friend who was murdered. Wow. It's a lot of details that I left out when I tell the story because it's like so many. You could stop on every year of anybody's life and just like dive all the way into it. But I got back involved with ICUC as an adult now. Someone who like I'd figured a lot of stuff out. I had a lot of answers to a lot of the questions I had when I was young. Okay. Maybe not fully like solidified answers, but enough to know that we have the knowledge now and we need to be able to disseminate it. And so that was like the goal when I got back. Like, how do I apply? I'm getting a master's in education. Some of the things I'm learning about the classroom. How do I apply this to like my community?
Gotcha.
Like, how do I learn with my community too?
Did you join ICUC because of your friend dying, or why did you join? You said
technically you could say. So when I was 14, we had a friend in our church, Our Lady of the Rosary, the cathedral, Catholic church down the street, who was murdered in a drive-by shooting at a house party. Caught a stray bullet and didn't make it. And it just devastated like all of us. Her name was Melanie Myers.
Okay.
I was 14. She was about 15, going on 16. She went to Purdue, San Bernardino High School. And it just rocked us. And there was a little clubhouse in the back of the church where a lot of the youth were able to hang out with this lady, Virginia. She would like open it for us and we'd like play games and, we would just talk, just hang out with each other and stuff. It was a safe space. And this guy came up one time, this older white dude, his name was Tom Dolan. And he was the youth organizer at the time. And he asked us pretty frankly, and I don't remember like verbatim, but essentially was asking, okay, this is bad. This hurts. What are you going to do about it? And didn't rub us all the right way. We were like, what the hell,
little mystery angel. I like that.
Like I don't know what the hell. What are you gonna do about it? You asked this question. We ended up just doing things like registering people to vote. A lot of the target was gun violence. Educated ourselves with some of the tips and tools that he gave us through civic engagement, like asking the right questions, developing surveys. Ended up surveying our high schools, like all throughout the district, about things that we knew were going on, but getting like real like data to back it up. So that looked like meeting with the principal to get the okay, building relationships with teachers that you have a good relationship with to be able to survey a class during class time. Until we got it to the point where we were able to survey basically our entire school, like 10 minutes, the first 10, 15 minutes of this period, this one day. It was really successful for us, but we learned things like that, like how to gather data to support like what our hearts felt and knew. And fast forward, we knew back then, like one of us, like when you dig in enough, you realize like somebody got to go inside, like somebody got to get the rest of the information. Like we can ask questions to elected officials, we can meet with them, but there's things that we won't know until somebody is in there.
Got you in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Obama was running back then and stuff, and so it felt really good. And I was really inspired as a young person, like to continue to be involved. But my time in Mississippi, totally disillusioned. I was like digging way too deep into American history.
In Mississippi?
Oh yeah.
Got you.
Because I was obsessed with the Panthers when I was like 16.
Okay.
Like the Black Panther Party and like everything that they did and like the 10 rules and like how to expand that.
Tell us the 10 rules.
I don't know all 10. No. I do not know all 10.
How many do you know? Tell us what you know.
So I can like paraphrase. So some of the rules are like what sounds like Godfather rules. Like you never like turn on your family. Like your family is the people you're in the struggle with. That you always prioritize the youth in the liberation struggle.
Okay.
That resources and access to information is something that we can do ourselves, and we should do ourselves. To have an established kind of like literacy program, and that's what look like their pamphleting and things like that. And then going beyond to support your community, because I don't know all 10. It'd be really cool to rip those out and like read them right now though. Like the free breakfast program, things like that they established that have become core to like the public education system.
Yeah.
Like the sustenance, not only mentally, but physically, that was provided by supporting your own. And it was the idea, obviously, more than anything, that we don't need to, my mom feels this way to this day, that the worst thing that happened, I don't feel this way, but the worst thing that happened to America was the desegregation, was forcing black people, brown people, indigenous people into a world that was not made for them.
Integration.
Integration. That was like the fall, like the true fall of America, because we had been forced to be in isolation so much that a lot of communities had, like such as Oakland, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we had gone so far as to make our own. Like we didn't need it anymore.
There's a big argument about integration destroyed black communities.
Mm-hmm. My mom feels that way because she grew up in Mississippi. So
the proof's in the pudding, though. If you look at it, there's
man.
How many black hospitals do you know about, or
how many black authors are publicized in the public education system?
Gotcha. Black farmers, et cetera, as opposed
Ventures,
to
everything.
Yeah, everything. Go to the 1950s, is a completely different 40s, 30s, And what's the saying that I used to hear? They say white ice is better or white ice is colder. That's the whole thing, right? Like if it's white, it's better type of situation.
It's the idea of racism, man, is like allowing for people who are all the same level of poor or in poverty to feel like you're a little bit better than the next person because guess what? What can we rely on? Your skin. Your skin's better. Boom. Boom. That's it. And eat it.
Hey.
Hang on to that. Right.
It's marketing.
And marketing. It's marketing.
And but yeah, let's continue to when and why you decided to run.
Yeah. So I had like a lot of my inspiration, one of my idols for sure, and I know you're not supposed to idolize anybody, but Kwame Ture, like Stokely Carmichael, like that dude was a bad dude. And I just became obsessed. Like my late nights in Mississippi looked like listening to old Stokely speeches. Like figured out that MLK was definitely assassinated because obviously all of his work, but he started to focus in on an inconvenient truth for America, that Vietnam was an occupation and a support of French occupation. And we should pull out. And so talking too loud about that, they were going to give this guy, or they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize, and you got this winner out there, like speaking this real shit. Like, and so I would listen. I was walking my dog late nights, this is the younger man, smoking a joint, just walking down the street, walking my dog with the wired headphone. We didn't have AirPods back then.
Yeah, no,
with the wired headphones. And I was just like busting laughs around the neighborhood, just kind of like absorbing all of it. Things that I hadn't had the ability to put in words fully. And that it was really isolating because I felt like I knew too much and I didn't want to talk about anything that wasn't like real. And so like I didn't date for a while because I felt like these girls don't really want to hear me talk.
Got you. It'll be over their head. It'll be too much.
Yeah. And some people will look at me crazy. Had a few people in my life who were close who were able to engage on the same level, like spreading that knowledge, like wanted to do something with it. But I was totally disillusioned. And I was involved with the NAACP down there, and I had my own opinions of what they were in California, where it was just kind of ceremonial. Like we do some things on the surface. Can't speak to the individuals, but overall it was an organization that had funding. And a lot of the funding and dues people paid were to bring bigwigs to conventions and, keep them in the hotel and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of like the whole Black Lives Matter situation?
Exactly. Okay. And so down south, the guy who's running it, I found out he's like just sleeping with all the moms around here.
Gotcha.
It's like, this is why you did it. Like, this is why you're doing this. And so I was just like disillusioned, man. Like everything was just like fake. I had some really hard times waking up, be real. It's been a long time. But I would wake up sometimes and I would trip out that this was like
reality.
Like just almost like paralyzed in my bed. Like the world really runs on fake money. Like this shit is real. Like having like for like a few minutes, like having to just like come out of it. Like you still got to be able to operate, dude. Like, you can't, like, it's not in you to get like this kind of level of depressed. And then, to be honest with you, in 2016, I saw both sides of the fucked up American coin. I saw racism take a hard step out of the closet when Donald Trump was running, because you can imagine in Mississippi that all of a sudden, like, these flags, American flags, rubbed me and everybody else the wrong way. They weren't just American flags anymore.
Everything started popping out of the woodwork.
And so it felt, and my cousin would say stuff like, oh no, like, no, these white folks know better than to try us. And then they started trying us down there in Mississippi.
Can you give us an example of what you mean?
Like, anywhere I would go, there's a bar down there that's like one of the few younger people's bar. It's called Bowie's specifically. It'd be really cool if they could like catch wind of this shit. It's my mom's hometown, but their music typically isn't like as inviting to like people of color like that much. It's like more two-stepping, like country music and stuff like that. And some people do like that down there, but mostly it's like everything down there still caters more to the white demographic. And in 2016, I had been to this spot a couple times over the age of 21, but by 2015, 16, people who like were sitting next to me at basketball games, I was seeing them on the front page of like Trump had come down to the Coliseum in Biloxi, Mississippi, and they were right there up against the rafter, like looking like super fans. I was like, you're really gravitating towards what he's saying about immigrants, like, and all this stuff. And then more personally at this spot, Bowie's, with my cousin one time, and it felt like, and it became more known that these guys, like, to be frank, like, these white guys were just trying black people because they knew that racism, what I felt was that they knew and they operated like racism was us and it always has been, and now we're out and we're not afraid of shit. And it looks like getting you to realize like you should be uncomfortable around us now. And so they say little things like this guy had to go, he was peeing outside by the thing. Me and my cousin are way downstairs away from everybody, just hanging out. And he walks by, don't know the guy or anything. He decides to tell me I look like Nick Cannon.
Okay.
Right.
Kind of a compliment. Sure.
Sure, maybe. Yeah. I don't look like Nick Cannon.
Not at all. But it's a compliment,
Right. So.
Thank you.
And I didn't grow no bitch, man. So he said it, and my first response was I went all the way deep in things that I would never have said since I got in fights when I was younger. I said, your mama look like Nick Cannon. And he turned back and was like, what'd you say? And then all of a sudden, there was 6 other dudes that just pulled up. My cousin ain't no punk either. He stood up, calmed it over, bro. I was like, you think I'm just gonna stand right here and let you disrespect me? Like, we're not gonna do that. Like, that's not what we're doing here, bro. And the other guy comes up and he goes, light skin's out of style, right? And just start talking like that, And I hadn't experienced that in Mississippi for so long. I've experienced more racism in California than I have in Mississippi.
Ironically, right?
But in 2016, that became regular. So I stopped going to that place because every time I would go, I went a couple times after, and the energy was just intense. Like, people were just like segregated, like right there. There'd be like 10 black people in the whole spot compared to like another 150 white people. Because it's really just black and white in Mississippi, sadly.
Yeah.
Latinos down there, they stick to themselves. They don't like talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
Just in and out of the grocery stores type thing.
Got you.
But it became comfortable for people to be openly racist. I saw in 2016. But at the same time, I was watching the other old white guy, Bernie Sanders. And I love Bernie. And I saw how young people specifically, were gravitating towards the truth. He was just saying the truth. And then, like, this felt like heavy and emotional, man. Like if he can do that. My passion was like honestly dedicated to Mississippi at the time in 2015, 16. I was like, if he can get young people to be energized, and he looks how he does, imagine a black and Mexican dude. Like, what could I do? Like, maybe I should try this shit. Like, what would it look like if we went around and did the things in San Bernardino that I learned, just knocking on doors, things that people never did. Down there, they're just like, politicians will pull up and put their yard sign with their name on it in your yard. They won't knock on your door. Like, if you take it down, you take it down. They'll just go around it, plop it in your stuff. Like, it's no kind of engagement.
Wow.
And it's very intentional. But I thought in 2016, I was like overwhelmed talking to my grandma out here. Like grandma, this is different now. Like, I think we're actually like awake. I was re-inspired because I was totally like anti. I was like, man, I don't even want to live in America. Like, I'm gonna go live in Cuba or something, and just be free. Like, go get some real access to healthcare and things like that, you know. But yeah, it was really Bernie Sanders that tipped me over. And then I came back to Cali. I was figuring myself out again more. Had to, I was 24 years old. But by the time I came back to San Bernardino, 2018, end of 2018, there was a ground movement swelling up over what people had hated. My generation, I feel like, had hated more than anything was warehouses, and more specifically what Amazon was doing locally to us was like the in and out revolving door of employing us, kicking us out, cutting us off before we could get full benefits, and just working us to the bone. And just monitoring you on your scanning device, like letting you know when you're not working fast enough. Dude, plantation shit. And so that was it, man. We got involved again, trying to bring forth the first community benefits agreement at the airport before they built that hangar for Amazon. Learned a lot through that campaign as well. And then 2019 came around and a window opened to file to run for office. And so I did.
And you
The
got
rest
it.
is history, man.
Yeah.
Got that shit.
You got it.
Ran my own campaign. We did that shit.
And oh man, there's so many things I want to talk about, but I got to move forward. But how'd you get into surfing? Completely kind of. But he mentioned surfing. Now, one of the things that stuck with me, I was like, how'd you get into surfing?
Yeah.
How'd you get into surfing, bro?
So I grew up more privileged than most. I had a swimming pool, like pretty much my whole life. But I was competitively swimming when I was like about 11.
Yeah.
And
because water polo takes a lot of muscle.
Yeah. But I played football. That was my real passion. I was actually a linebacker. Like I had aggression, man. Like a lot of other people, I loved hitting people, man. I loved to like try to feel like I was outsmarting the quarterback type thing, you know?
Got you.
But then high school came around, and same season for water polo, a sport that I hadn't fully tried, but I had exposure to it because my cousin, a little older, was playing it at her high school. And it was like same season. I'm seeing all these guys out here, and I'm like, these are all my homies from the North San Bernardino Cowboys. Literally, that's the name of the team. That's also why a lot of people don't know why San Bernardino has so many Cowboys fans. It's because our Pop Warner team, and especially the North End, is called the Cowboys. Like, people roll with that. I refuse to believe it's anything different. Like, my homies became Cowboy fans, like, since that. But it was same season. I'm watching all my homies out there, plus, like, new guys. There's, like, 60 guys out there for the freshman team. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, it'll work. Like, no doubt in my ability, like, we can go far. But also, I could be in a swimming pool, and it's 102 degrees outside right now. I was like, I swim pretty good. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try water polo out. But the abilities and the strength that I got at being a swimmer and the style of swimming, where you're swimming like with your chest up, like out of the water, all you got to do, the next logical step to me, like for recreation, was to try to surf. And so when I was 16, that was the first time I rode a wave. When I was 18, I was able to buy my own board. And so I just bought my own board. I didn't know it was the hardest board to ride. So it took me years to like actually get decent at it. And then I moved to Mississippi when I was 18 too. So I had a board in Mississippi, just gathering dust. And the water out there is flat. And so when I came back, I think 2 summers later, I would go, and I was learning, dealt with a lot of mean dudes at Huntington Beach. Real people act real territorial over water.
Really?
Yes, in the ocean. What? Like, it's crazy, man.
Is it like a...
You'd be surprised how many fights you almost get into. Like,
from
just
trying to surf?
Trying to ride, yeah. It's not really welcoming, the culture, and maybe at Venice Beach, but it like sucks there to surf. But most beaches that are known or like common or public, in like Manhattan Beach, Huntington Beach specifically.
Yeah.
Just rude, man. Sometimes you have incredible experiences with people. Like, you're just like hooting and hollering for each other. But it wasn't honestly until I was 24 and I moved back that I took it upon myself. Me and my cousin's, her husband now, Jeff, really cool dude, man. He was working in Santa Monica at the time. And so every day when I was living in Sherman Oaks, my work schedule started at like 1 in the afternoon till 10. That was my shift, 1 to 10. We would go surf at sunrise at Venice Beach.
Dope.
The Great Walls of Venice. Terrible surf conditions. They call it walls because it all stands up all the way across instead of curling, and just up and down.
Okay.
And so we learned there, man. And I was literally out there 5 days a week from 2016 until I moved back, pretty much. When I moved to Long Beach, I got a lot more exposure to Huntington Beach. But I was mostly in LA beaches. But I think I'm pretty good now. I'm not like pro or nothing. I'm not flying off a wave. Hey. But I know how to ride a wave, though.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely gonna be showing the baby.
It's my therapy, yes. Yes, I'm so excited to teach my daughter how to surf. Yeah.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
You know, and I think going back to like running for office and stuff like that, I could be wrong, but I think election day is today. And maybe, well, at least that's what my calendar said. I don't know. My calendar could be wrong. Probably is.
Not here.
Not here.
No.
Not here. But I said election day. I don't know for where, but anyway.
They have in Philadelphia. It's election day.
Yeah. My calendar must be in Philadelphia, yes. But re-elections is coming up soon, right? What's your thoughts about it?
This re-election is it's a statement more than anything to young people, the people who elected me, people who love like how uncomfortably honest maybe I've been at sometimes and how I've represented them. I think that this is the opportunity for us to kind of just like slam a door on the old business and the way shit used to be. And instead, like more young people, like hopefully if I get reelected and it's just landslide, which I think I will, I'm hoping to see more young people like come out and run for office, seeing that it's possible. So for nothing else, this reelection is about validating and it not being seen as a fluke or some one-time thing that we unseated a Republican incumbent, that somebody who doesn't agree with either party is just like holding it down and really representing people and just telling the truth. It's about telling the truth, man.
Got you. Can you give people, and we're going to do this again, but can you give people an insight on when they can do that, how they can do that to support you and make sure they do that? Can you please let everybody know?
Yeah, so our election is going to be March 5th. It's the first Tuesday in the month of March, 2024. You can register to vote now by visiting, I'll put some links up, but just look up on the Secretary of State website or just Google search, register to vote. Super easy, can be done online. Make sure you register to vote. In the state of California, since the pandemic, one of the best things that happened was absentee voting. Is that everybody, if you're registered to vote, you're going to get your ballot at your house. The next most difficult part, and it's not really that difficult, but I understand human nature, is taking that after you filling it out, taking it and dropping it off either at the clerk or the boxes we have around. On the north end, we have Cal State San Bernardino, right in the entrance, right at the top of that turn. Or you can drop it off over here on 2nd and East Street. There's like these little boxes that says turning your ballot. But we got the primary in March. A lot of people want this seat.
I've seen
You got people who the guy beat last time wants it again. He registered.
I want my vengeance.
Right. Somebody who used to be a good council member from about 2010 to 2012. Then he decided to run for mayor. But he decided, because he listed his house as his campaign headquarters,
interesting,
that he could pay his mortgage with his campaign funds.
Woo!
And so $75K. And he ended up taking a plea deal. He did 90 days in jail. He wasn't allowed to run for office ever again, but he just got exonerated recently. And so he was like, I'm free. Like, I'm going to do it again.
Gotcha.
I'm going to run it back.
Who exonerated him?
The county.
Wow.
Yeah. Seems a little crooked, maybe.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a beautiful story.
And other people, man. Other people. Mayor's best friend's going to run against me, too.
The mayor's best friend?
Mayor's best friend. Interesting dynamics, man. When people think like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's like, I know what's up. Yeah. Mama didn't raise no fool.
At all, bro.
Wow.
At all. So like everybody wants it, man.
Got you.
It's a nice seat, man. We got like we got the university. We got a lot of great businesses coming in.
True.
But more so it looks like people want to jump on because shit's going well. Things are a lot better now than they had been. We've got more money than we have before. And shit, that was our work, man. You don't just get to come in and take over.
Gotta fight.
This is the young people's seat, like the 5th ward.
Fight.
Yeah, man.
Support this man, ladies and gentlemen. Support this man.
I appreciate that.
You know, you've been a part of great things and been a part of really great things like the small business grants, the Entrepreneur Resource Center, getting the Dodgers to help the Blair Park, getting funding for the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, definitely.
What's some of the most proudest moments and achievements you've done as a council?
I would say probably what you mentioned. Two of the items for sure. The small business grants program, when we got that allotment, the American Rescue Plan dollars, was being able to I appreciate my colleagues, honestly, because we don't agree on everything, but them supporting, getting money into small businesses that were impacted by the pandemic for sure. So small business grant program where people had received up to $35,000. I saw some more downtown businesses with those checks, the big picture check or whatever, but they get the real check.
I was wondering, I was like, do people take this to the bank? Okay, so it's for show mostly.
Yeah, but they definitely, the picture is for us. The big check.
Yeah. I was like, how do they check? Okay. That's what I was thinking. I was like, how did
That doesn't fit in an ATM.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how does this work?
You gotta
Like,
go to the back to the secret ATM.
that's what I was wondering. I was like, how does this work? They just show up. Hey, I got this. I'm like, maybe, in San Bernardino, people were like, roll up on you. Hey, bro, I see.
All right. How much is a corner of that check worth?
That part, you know. You already know.
But definitely, so the micro grants for small businesses, the Entrepreneurial Resource Center, it turned into something really good. But it started, and a lot of the things that I'm most proud of, there are things that are tangible that have been done. Like we're bringing like a Chick-fil-A, we're bringing Panera Bread, healthier food options. Getting the Entrepreneurial Resource Center up and running, an idea coming to fruition. But the things I'm most proud of aren't really the things that I've necessarily gotten accomplished, but how I've been able to tag them onto things or use them as the inspiration, like the Resource Center, the Entrepreneurial Resource Center. It started off because I have a lot of friends who work with day laborers and street vendors.
Yeah.
And it's no secret that the police are pressured to get them off the corners or whatever. Shouldn't be their job at all. But they've gone so far, even in our city, as to take their carts and things like that. So just like you're preying on the most vulnerable population here. Like, you know that these people are coming from some hard backgrounds. Why aren't we doing anything to help them do it legally? And so that's what I wanted. I was like, okay, and can we do this? Like, can we get an entrepreneurial resource center that helps them specifically? I had to slow walk it because I watched as a lot of like just people, I was hearing a lot of like, yeah, we go into partnerships with banks and blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't hearing people. So I was like, okay, I love Cal State, but also this is like you're co-opting the idea. Like, I need you to all remember what the genesis was. It was real people getting access to resources and actually having the means to operate and feel supported in the city in which they're raising their children.
Yeah.
And getting money, man. And like, help them. Like, this is a full circle. They will pay taxes. Like, we'll get some money off it too when they're legal. So like the things like that, even though it hasn't passed, like that one, the warehouse moratorium, I tried to pause warehouse development. You can't do it forever. And so I was trying to use that as a selling point to my conservative colleagues and those who take that money we were talking about earlier from the big box developers, build a city over there, but you don't care, so you just want more warehouses here.
Gotcha.
A warehouse moratorium, which would have paused warehouse development, required research immediately on the social impacts, the environmental impacts, and then also like literally getting us the data on what's been done. What have been the turnover rates like in these facilities? What has been, like I said, the environmental impact around the infrastructure? Like, how much money have we dumped into this? Because if I could have gotten that done, we would have like stats that support everything we know is wrong with this city. And because it was like a moratorium, it's considered an emergency ordinance. And so we needed a 4/5 majority. 4/5 on a council of 7 people is 6 out of 7. But we actually got 5 out of those 7 votes.
Gotcha.
And, you know, you could say that somebody knew it wasn't going to go down that way. So somebody probably wouldn't have voted for it, but just down like for it. And they haven't been down since. But
Gotcha.
trying things like that, literally just trying things like that. We had a rent stabilization that came to us to approve. Almost got in a fight in the back with another council member because the way, when it was time to vote, we were going to, rent control would have came on the back end, but what we were going to start with, because I proposed the idea of tenant rights, like how do we educate on that? And we're doing like a once a month workshop at the library, but I wanted people to know like you got city support when it comes to being fucked over by your landlord, because this city over 50% rents. That's just a reality.
Period.
You can't afford a house.
Yeah.
So we had the item. The last city manager was with us, incredible, Charles McNeely. But he brought this item to us with help from our homelessness liaison, our housing liaison, Cassandra Cersei, she's really good, was to provide pro bono, free legal services for up to 500 people for the first year. And what I've learned in city government and just watching the world is that you got to try it and prove that there's a higher demand in order to boost it. Like we start with 500, maybe we get to 5 Gs like in 2 years, you know? But 500 people, pro bono services, it was going to be like a $2 million contract. That's nothing to me. Like, this is something that was going to benefit people. That straight up, if you're being screwed over, you would call the city. Even the representative was in the stands, ready and excited, like, this is what we do. That we go to bat legally. Like, I'm not your public defender. I'm your lawyer who's focusing on your case on the city's dime when you're getting screwed over. I'd never seen it. And so I was like, this is incredible. It's definitely going to slow walk us to rent control. And we can maybe speed up that conversation to cap it. But there was one council member missing. So there was 6 of us on the dais. So it needed 4-2 to be a strong majority. if it would have went 3-3, it would just kind of die. But one council member, Alexander, was actually gone for that meeting. Myself and Councilman Calvin, I knew we were going to vote in favor. Another council member, Sandra Ibarra from the 2nd Ward, who really, really could have benefited, her constituents could have benefited from this like no other.
No question.
She got up to go do whatever, bruh, like literally right before the item came up, like seconds before we were moving to the item. She got up, I understand going to the bathroom, but she got up, went. Sanchez voted to suspend the presentation and moved to deny it. Like, let's vote to deny it. And I was like, you guys know what you're doing? And because it's procedural and it was questioned and brought to the floor, like when you call for the question or whatever, it died on a 3-2 in order. Him, Figueroa, Charette all voted like to deny this. Me and Calvin were just like, that really just happened. So I go back there in the room right after the meeting, and I'm hot because I'm like, we really had the chance to do this.
Yeah.
And I saw her, and she was just standing up in the back of the room, just chilling. And I really couldn't understand why she would leave. Like, right, it felt like she knew exactly what she was doing, running away from a hard decision. Then we got back there, and Sanchez walked in, and we had some words. And I wasn't gonna fight. I'm an adult, man. I don't fight no more, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't do anything. But it was a moment, and it felt good to have even brought that forward. And I think the silver linings there was that the amount of staff support in the city, the amount of community support, when they watch us go to bat, they know that we're not going to give up on those things. Even though it died right now, a lot of this stuff is patience, man. I'm waiting for some of these people on my right to be, beaten by another opponent or another candidate who really understands the city and like really cares about people.
Yeah.
So a lot of this has just been waiting for the right timing. I thought with the new mayor we'd get different things, but trying rent control, trying warehouse moratorium twice, restricted truck routes is something that we did get done. It's not finalized yet, but making sure like 18-wheelers aren't riding down our streets,
Constantly.
Yeah.
That's where the potholes are coming from.
Absolutely, because I got a break.
Yeah.
Street's not made for that.
Yeah.
But just a lot of different things, man. LED lighting in the neighborhoods, like that's been cool, man. Because I ran on smart development, like using renewable energy and self-sufficient, like saving some money on the city dime, then also connecting with education. And so the partnerships we established with the school district and working closely with the superintendent, honestly, teachers. And my favorite part of being a council member is being invited to like career day. I love to talk to students, like young people, and just be real with them, That's like, honestly the only time I get like really dressed up is because I want them to see like you too can be a boss. Like,
You can do it. You can be a boss. Yeah.
You too can
Rick
be a boss.
Ross.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So, I guess 2 things, and it's like, I guess 3. So do you feel like it was a female, right, that left, the female councilwoman that left?
Yeah.
Do you think she did it intentionally? And
Yeah, to this day for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And she tried to air it out. She like made a lot of public comments on social media saying that I was telling everybody that she did that. And honestly, like, I don't roll like that. I went straight back in the room and I told her to her face. I said, you really failed San Bernardino tonight. Like, you're really back here hiding.
Got you.
Because she wasn't like sick or anything. She was standing in the back of the room sipping a Sprite, watching the meeting.
Because the rent fix could help with the homelessness. It's like, I look at it as it's connected.
It's all connected, man.
It's connected, right? And
We need
I guess the other part.
representatives.
I'm sorry, say it again.
We need different representatives, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And they're probably, well, I'm assuming they're probably thinking the same way on the other
They're
end,
for
right?
sure looking at me the same way.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'm a problem for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess my other question about that, because you were saying that the mayor could veto or be like that turning vote for something.
Yeah.
Could the mayor at that time be that turning vote for that situation or no?
Yeah. She could have waited. No, actually, because it was a 3-2, she couldn't. She needed that 4th one to either cancel it or add it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
She didn't plan to do anything anyway, though. Yeah.
Gotcha. I want to ask your thoughts on the mayor, but I'm not.
Nah, we'll keep it clean.
Yeah, I'm not. And I guess this is my next question is kind of related to, and what's kind of cool. Well, my next question is related to the situation that just happened with talking about you wanted to help with this rent, but then it didn't work out because your colleagues weren't on the same page.
Right.
What are some of the notions or bills or proposals that you put on, but you didn't get to see pass through? What are some of those?
It would be that one. So rent stabilization, warehouse moratorium. One was skate park lighting and events. I wanted it to begin at a specific park at the one, it wasn't even in my ward, Bryce Haynes, John Cole, the one right up the street right here.
Yeah.
Or down the street a little bit.
Yeah, right there.
Because there's a lot of issues there, and like homeless just like pop up and live there. And I figured if we populate it with events and like get better lighting, and we do something more, like expand it a little bit, the actual skate park section of it. It's a really like minimal skate park. That's super basic.
True.
Little things like that have been co-opted. You know, like let's turn it, and you can't argue with it because it turned into let's do citywide skate park event funding. No one's gonna oppose that. But I know that turns it into just like a pause, like nothing comes out of it. And so little things like that, where it's become a broader focused agenda item, where it was like targeted the way I brought it forward. But I have a cement pile still that I inherited from my predecessor, the guy who was going to run again.
Gotcha.
Oddly
you
enough,
have a what you said?
a cement pile.
What's that?
It was a burnt down Amazon facility in Redlands in 2019.
Okay.
No, summer 2020. I was running. Summer 2020, there was a fire. Amazon, I think, on Lugonia in Redlands, and it burned down, not to the ground. Excuse me. It burned down not to the ground, but like charred with materials inside of it. And somehow it was allowed. We're on the hook for it because a fraudulent permit was issued. I wasn't in at the time. Me, Calvin, Alexander weren't in. But somebody made some kind of deal with the developer. And there's been a lot of like staff have gone down for it. But the last mayor had money received from this developer. The guy who was sitting in the seat that I took, Henry Nickel, he had money from the developer who got 18-wheelers to put all the broken debris. They demolished it right there, put the debris on the back of these trucks, and hauled 60 tons from Redlands all the way up to deep North End by Vertimont and dumped it.
Oh,
Just dumped it. Because apparently there was another project, a housing development that was going to be built, and he was like, I need cement. I'm short on cement. Man, imagine an Amazon facility with any and everything inside of it burns. Like, there's got to be some kind of risk in using that kind of cement.
Hello?
But the winds are strong up there, and so things are blown into people's houses. I got video footage of dirt just like constantly flowing into people's home because the cement pile is right there. But I had literally had it, and it cost a lot of money. We had a $2 million agenda item, and I appreciate Calvin Alexander and Ibarra at the time supporting that, but it was a 4-3 vote to move it. Mayor didn't say nothing in the council meeting. I learned the hard way that he has basically like an indefinite amount of time to veto shit. He doesn't have to do it publicly.
Wow.
He vetoed it the next morning. So I still have that cement pile up there. Yeah.
To this day?
To this day. I've tried it twice. He vetoed the conversation the second time. Yeah.
Wow. What about the current mayor?
It's coming forward again. And we'll see.
Forward again?
Yeah. And she's from the 5th Ward too. So I don't want to speak to it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. And, you know, to me, I think it's like, man, you got to be pretty ballsy as an individual or a corporation or whatever, a business, be like, you know what? We're just going to dump this here.
Because they allowed it, man.
I'm like, there's something.
Only when he was caught up did he make a big stink about it. The former council member who was in my seat, he like went so far as like, let's make an ordinance where you can't crush or grind cement within 1,000 feet of a residence. All this kind of stuff, man. And it was all like ceremonial, and everybody was feeling the heat at the time, so they passed it. But since, literally have council members who try to bring that back to rescind it, like drop it not from 1,000, but like get rid of it, like period. Like we need, because their narrative, right, is like you're handicapping business, you're slowing development,
Yeah.
you're against the development community. Nah, I'm tired of hearing that shit, and people are tired of hearing that shit.
Got you. People just fill you up with any type of BS they can fill up, right?
Right, whatever spins the best.
That's fine, right?
But it feels like it's only spinning like from them. Like sometimes they say shit. Some people say shit, man. Representation, and you're like, you didn't bounce that off of anybody. Like you just said that, and you thought like this is a really good idea.
Gotcha. You got to give us an example, bro. You got to give us a line. You got to give us a line, Ben.
What did he say? Council member said something about there was a liquor store that's being proposed across from Ruben Campos over there on 5th Street. And it's a park. It's a park smack between Train Yard and the main street, and he's trying to put a liquor store. And the planning commission already denied it. and he said something about, what did he say? That these shops are, he was trying to play up the food desert thing, that this is where people rely on food. Like you're taking, like it's almost racist. You're taking away food, like the opportunity for people to go get bread. They're not going there to get alcohol. Then the guy comes up who owns the liquor store property, or he wants to build a liquor store. And we're saying like, well, can you open it without, if this is true, can you open it without liquor? He's like, no, we really rely on that for our budget and our income. I was just like, and then you try to double down and say the same shit again. Like people need bread and water and milk. You're like, yeah, but that doesn't stop like the old dude who is down on his last from going to get that tall can, because that's what he does.
Period.
Right? I buy a Snicker, he buy a tall can. And what do I see? I see an old man with a tall can. Young people seeing a paper bag, drunk in public. Like, and people live at that park that you care so much about. Like that kind of stuff, man.
Oh, it's awesome. You know, Ben, I've been hearing from so many people, and you're just like such a likable person. Oh, we see you out doing so many things. Even the Dia de los Muertos that just happened, you're out doing your thing. You're just so likable, man. Like I just hear great things from the community about you, man. And you're always out there. And so I wonder, and maybe you can give me your opinion about it. Do you think by being so actively involved and just kind of being down to earth? I remember when we first met, we talked. You're like, you know, I'm a real person. You know, I got my car towed too.
That was tough. I'm still feeling that. Bruh, every check, I'm broke right now paying my sisters back off that.
That part.
Man. And shout out to my sisters for having me in a bind, man. Because I'm real. Like, that's just real life. Like, I feel like San Bernardino. Like, I am San Bernardino, just like everybody else.
Got you. I'm one of the ones.
All right, man.
So, like, just being, you know, down to earth and likable and involved in the community, like, we actually see you out here. How much do you think that affects your knowledge and your role as being a government official?
Oh, man. Keeps me grounded more than anything. I think that the moment that I stop feeling like I need to engage people or listen to people or just like be with people, and people who I know like are just real people, like it makes me really not uncomfortable, because I feel like if I could go into any room, man. I was definitely built to also like be in the rooms with people who never talk to people, like developers and district attorneys and things like that. But when I go in those rooms, I don't want to be there. Like it's a chore for me to like go to those events. That's what I was talking about with like the pay, like bumping the pay. It's like it makes it a little easier, like knowing I'm getting paid, like I guess technically, to go and do like, maybe it's the justification for another council member is the pay is incentivizing them to go engage their community. For me, the pay has incentivized me to go to events that I feel like aren't worth the shit, that have no real translation to the betterment of San Bernardino residents' lives. But I think I still enjoy that. Not so much that I'm not uncomfortable in those rooms, but that I have like a disdain for like the facade that is a lot of the spaces, versus being able to just like chop it up with you at Camp Gnarly's listening event and hear my boy's album. Like I want to play that, you know, and publicizing that we have incredible artists who are like openly just being themselves, like unapologetically, like speaking to and being with community and tying them into everything, man. Like I feel like I'm bringing what San Bernardino has always shown its own light on, like the artistic community here, places like the Garcia Center, for example, like partnerships with the Garcia Center, for example, like that kind of stuff. I'm not responsible for it, but it's because we do things with people who work here. Like we're constantly like the little gallery, Jorge, yourself now, and just like all the artists and people who have touched spaces like this or who have like given their art to the community. It's not about like being at the event that is like big and put on by the city for me. It's about going to the small events and letting people know like this is happening too. Like I'm a council member, and if I didn't have the title, it wouldn't be, I guess, as popular. But I have the ability to do that now, to literally just post about like, yo, I was with Cam Gnarly, that dude who you probably heard some music from, that Cajon High graduate. And my other homies are making beats and stuff like that. And people who are just skateboarding, people who are doing tattooing for a living and stuff. Like people don't want to publicize that kind of stuff. So if not them, then me. Shit. Why not?
Why not? Exactly. And we love you for that. Yeah, I remember saw the post. I was like, oh, Cam Park. Okay, cool. Yeah. You know, And I think we're also going to get into like, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're the youngest person on the council, right? Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But I wanted to talk about like, I think one of your biggest things has been warehousing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think warehousing and homelessness has been a big issue, right? So what has been, I guess, to you, besides those things, one of the biggest things that you're tackling to this day?
I felt like it was rent control, and it will be still. I've been so focused on warehousing because not only like of not building more warehouses, but I feel like it touches every part of our life. Like it's the most common entry level job. I'm more focused on like the job quality, like bringing like career employment opportunities. My dream here is to bring like green engineering, like creating that pipeline. Publicizing our trades and stuff like that is really cool, but also they haven't taken that extra step beyond like the electricians who actually work like in electrical to incentivize the future that we need. And that future looks like retrofitting a lot of these warehouses, building electric diesel engines, or not diesel, electric 18-wheeler engines. They wouldn't be diesel anymore. I would love to see that here. But if we keep building more warehouses, the conversation gets quieter and quieter and quieter until there is no conversation. And so it's been that because it's directly related. You've got people who are making, they might make $20 an hour now, but they're seeing maybe like $16.50 after tax on the hour. And that doesn't translate to being able to buy a house.
Not even close.
Not even close. So it's like sounds like real, like, is when I say this shit sometimes, it's just like, these just sound like damn talking points, man. But it's the reality. Like, I want to raise the minimum wage on the largest developers here, or largest corporations here.
Which are like Amazon?
Amazon, absolutely. That's like the biggest one, to be honest with you. Putting policies in effect that are like corporations that globally have more than 300 employees. Little things, though. I want to cross a threshold that a lot of people feel like you shouldn't be entering. Like in LA, they have the Fair Work Week, which is now employers have to notify their employees 2 weeks in advance what their schedule is. Think about how many people you know that have like just, oh yeah, bro, I got called in today. Or whether or not they needed it or not, but also like having like 1 week at a time, like your schedule. Like, hey, guess what schedule comes out on Saturday? It's like, yeah, but the work week that we're starting starts tomorrow, like on Sunday. Like, what the hell? Like, why didn't I know in advance? Like, bro, I made plans. And then all of a sudden, somebody like the homie's getting fired because he went to a concert that he'd been plotting on. And it's like, man, like, damn, I wish I would have known. Whether or not like planning, I just try to keep people in mind, like real things. Like, people don't always plan that far ahead. Like, we're humans, we're busy. Like, we don't always care that much. Creating the life, I think that a lot of people dreamed of having, not of being necessarily rich, but being able to pay their rent if they're going to rent, and having like a little extra money to go do stuff, bringing downtown, like a downtown nightlife to San Bernardino. So I'm tired of going to Fontana and Rialto and Rancho and Redlands when I live in San Bernardino. Like, I'm very aware, and I think all of us are aware now, that all our money is leaving the city. It's creating places in the city where people can spend money, and it makes sense, where it's like coming back to them. Because we increase the sales tax. So if you're paying the sales tax, you're going to see prettier streets. If we're creating, I guess, enough venues and things like that are taxable.
Gotcha.
Just seeing beyond what we've just kind of been handicapped in.
Interesting. I was even talking to shout to Ryan Stanley about even bringing like housing to downtown San Bernardino.
Yeah, man. That has to come with our downtown redevelopment. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's got to be affordable too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need like a lot of them to be affordable units, which affordable housing by law is 30% of your income. Like, that's the maximum that you're allowed to pay. It don't matter what you actually make. It would just be 30% of it.
Okay.
Like, that's it. Versus now, where I'm paying like 50% at least, if not more, of my monthly, like, to my rent. And then I got bills on top of that, though. That's just the rent. Like, that's the reality. We got bills on top of that. So, yeah, man. Affordable housing. That would probably be part of it, too.
Be like one of the top things again, right?
Rent control, warehousing, affordable housing, minimum wage. And honestly, one thing that we all agree on the council is infrastructure, man. We gotta fix these streets, and we're getting more and more money towards it now. That's something that we've all been doing collectively, for sure.
Where do you think it would start, the infrastructure downtown?
that would spur like an extreme, I think, investment from the state
Okay.
that we could apply that money in other places, like to other streets. Because there's a lot of streets, like in my mind, East Street and Highland are like the veins, like the main arteries of the city of
Ooh,
San
I
Bernardino.
like that.
And so East Street, when I look at East Street, even when you're on it, either way, you could see all the way up and all the way down. Imagine if it was like totally lit, if it was like Christmas time, Halloween time, and it's just decorated like to the nines,
Yeah.
just super nice. And you're driving down, you know, like you feel good in places like that. I feel like we need the opportunity to get like more state funding and things like that. Because right now we're kind of just like slowly and uncomfortably chipping away at like our general fund budget, where we don't know necessarily if we've got like 10 million for this, like in total, and it's like reserves. Like part of that is reserves, like 5 of it, for example, is reserves out of the 10 million.
What does that mean?
So we have like capital contingency. Like we basically have to operate. The city's a corporation for sure. That's how cities are. We're corporations. We have to have reserve funds. And reserve funds don't really have specific uses. We just have to, by law, as we established it, have to have at least like 15% in there. So that looks like $20 to $25 million that we always have to have like rainy day in the
Got you.
shoebox under the bed.
Got you.
Right. And so sometimes we want to dip
Into the reserve.
before we have like the full tax money. Because we get like Measure S taxes that have boosted it, and we got like projected revenues. But in real time, it looks like maybe taking a little bit out of the shoebox, because we know the streets really, really messed up.
Got you.
Or like we're getting sued because people are tripping on curbs. Literally, that's a thing in San Bernardino.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And then we won't fix the curb. First question we ask is, have we fixed the curb? Sorry, sir, we haven't gotten to that one yet.
So we're gonna get into the lawsuit. Got you.
Like, what are we doing?
But isn't that what the reserve's for? Is to prevent that?
The reserves more so was created with that percentage after the bankruptcy. So it's like,
To prevent the bankruptcy from happening again.
yeah, it's like yes and no, because you would expect like if it is terrible and we need that fix, like pull it from where we got it. Like we still got that shoebox over there, but you want to have that shoebox in case we have to like clip, or people start to talk about crazy stuff like clipping staff and things like that in the city.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we can afford to keep them up until we figure out other means of bringing more revenue.
Wow.
Yeah.
And basically building businesses and bringing more things in downtown will help bring more revenue,
Yes,
which would be
yes.
taxed, which would be go back to the city.
Exactly. Create more liaisons and people that like small business owners in the community can actually like talk to,
Yeah.
like really come in and get answers to their questions, get assistance. Yeah.
Wow, it's gnarly. And there's things that I thought was really interesting, and I was like, okay, so when you say like green, make it more green, what's some of the ideas you're kind of thinking about besides the
One that I have that really be pretty difficult was when I was running, I think about the Santa Ana winds.
okay,
And the technology doesn't fully exist to sustain winds over like 40 miles an hour, because we get some crazy winds in the north end sometimes.
yes,
But imagine if we were able to capture that wind power. I wanted to put like some winds up there in the foothills, some wind turbines,
okay,
because we could power like massive portions of our city through like one or two of those things.
yeah.
So that's like more
That'd
on the
be
back
cool.
burner. Yeah, man.
I think it's possible. I think we have the technology to probably
yeah,
build it.
Yeah, they cost a lot of money though, millions of dollars.
reserves for
But right, no, but I get you, because spending a little bit right now, to save later.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it to pull out the shoebox for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that, like in particular, like that, solar, and we've got a lot of that done specifically in my ward, like for the lighting, and it actually is brighter lights. It's like way brighter lights. I've heard some studies recently though about like how it's the mental health aspect of it, of having like a really bright light on like all night.
oh yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be good. Yeah, like a LED TV. But yeah, capturing wind. Geothermal isn't that attractive, but figuring out a way to beyond solar, like how do we, or creating like solar fields,
Yeah.
like full of those panels, because it gets hot as hell here, man.
True.
Just capturing that, just
Yeah.
capturing what we know, like
It's gonna happen.
energy can produce.
Yeah.
Wind and heat. That's what we have here. Like no question, no brainer. Like,
Period.
but trying to prioritize that or build that kind of stuff, people are afraid to take those big leaps, especially with bankruptcy not that far along, or not
Far
that
away.
long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like 10 years ago. So people are like, we had to make hard decisions before you came, and now you got money, so you think you could just. It's like, I get it,
Gotcha.
but also like, spend a little now, save more later.
Got you. You gotta take some risks to go forward.
You have to take
That's how
risks.
we got here today. Like we took risks to get even to where we are today, right?
Right. Literally.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, Dan, there was something else I was gonna say, and I can't remember. And I know I'm gonna remember when I do the edit. It's gonna piss me off. But I'll move forward. So I did some research, a little bit of research, and I noticed that we had. Yeah, I noticed that we had a good amount of different types of city managers come in and out of San Bernardino within like the past 5 to 6 years. A good amount.
You can go like 20 years, and it's probably like, I don't even know how many. But the last 10 or to 12, there's literally been like 26 or something like that.
And it's kind of like gnarly because I think her name's Noemi. I think she came and spoke.
Oh yeah,
and
Noemi Lopez.
Yeah, she spoke really well about you and about the rent. Talked about the rent issue, and and you mentioned how our previous city manager was doing a really good job. What is your thoughts? And you can answer it or not about our current city manager that just got hired. I guess it probably might be too soon to know anything. Really.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna give him a chance. And if he's successful, we're successful. So I'm gonna do everything I can to support the guy. He's heard it, and we had a conversation. It wasn't uncomfortable. He knows that I was speaking on behalf of my constituents. Mm-hmm. People said like, this guy doesn't make sense. He hadn't represented a city of this size. The biggest city he ever managed was 90,000. We got 231,000 people here. Was let go a couple times. I don't fault him for his last one, if he's totally forthcoming, if it was totally true what he said. But he was basically battling nepotism. Like, people wanted to see him hire people, specifically in policing.
That was from his family, or that he knew?
Not from his family.
Okay.
Like, people were saying like, to our city manager back then, like, you need to put him in this position, like so and so in this position.
Wow.
And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, what does that look like? That's corrupt. And so, I feel for him in that way. But regardless, he had been let go from pretty much every position he had held, and he hadn't managed a city of this size. And I knew that we were entitled, more so than anything, we were entitled to about 3 more months with our former city manager, the interim, Charles McNeely. He had some things that he wanted to get done that we all wanted to see followed through, because we massive strategic initiative, but then you have to, like, piece by piece actually implement it. Like, one of the programs being park rangers at our parks.
Oh, wow.
But we hadn't gotten to that item yet. And then he has to come in, the new guy, and he's got to figure it out. And he's going to be figuring out for the next 6 months, like, how everything fully works.
Gotcha. It's a whole new thing.
It's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
And so the reality wasn't so much my opposition to the hiring of him in particular, and I won't speak to his character. I think he's an okay guy, but that we were entitled to more time with our former city manager, and that we're also entitled, because if we would have said like no to Charles Montoya, we were entitled by the headhunter firm that brought us all the candidates to interview and trimmed them down. We were entitled to another free search, and whether you believe that we were going to get a better candidate or not, because there was a lot of taint on this process, it was too serious of a decision to just be like, you know what, this is the best we're going to get, because historically the city has literally settled, and then they just fire him in some time. Yeah. So, I'm praying for the best. Plan on working very closely with him. And I wish him luck, because this is a treacherous place when it comes to being manipulated and kind of swayed. And
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy place to start.
Not an easy place to start.
And so the current or the previous city manager got fired?
No, well, he'd let go technically because he was done. He just
quit?
transitioned out.
He basically
Our
quit?
interim city manager? No.
Okay.
He was supposed to be on, like, until his hours were done, because he came out of retirement to work with us, and there's a lot of caps on the hours there.
Okay.
And he would have been able to go with us until, I believe, I want to say like January 17th or so, like around there. But some of the council members wanted Charles Montoya to begin immediately. And so at first, and I'm sure he's comfortable with me sharing now, I had a good relationship with him, that he lost a lot of respect. Charles McNeely, our interim, he lost a lot of respect for a lot of the council members, or a few of them, and the mayor, for allowing it to be so fast. He's like, I've been rocking with you for damn near a year now. And you're telling me that, and you're not telling me actually, but you're going to publicly go out there, adopt a contract. And once that's adopted, then you're telling me, like, I've got a week and a half left in the city.
Not
He's
even
like,
a 2-week notice?
Yeah. He's like, I'm renting a place here. Like, I got, like, what about the transition, you know, like with all the staff? What about the time I'll spend with this guy? Like, he should be coming in to shadow, like, for a month or something like that, you know?
To get the ropes, like a normal job.
Like a normal job.
Like a normal job.
Yeah. So he didn't get fired, but
So he kind of like left you guys hanging a little bit low key.
nah, they forced him out, man.
They forced him out.
They forced him out. Yeah. He didn't do anything wrong, man.
Got you.
Nah. I still got a good relationship with him.
Got you. That's when people say that it's politics.
Yeah, man.
That's when that term kind of comes in. And
Yeah.
so you said headhunters? Is the
Yeah, so that's like a firm that goes and they look up directors or people who are applying for director positions.
Got you.
And city manager in this case, people who are looking or open to, and he'll handle basically the entire listing, like from putting it out on all the different websites, Indeed, you know, city manager application website.
Wow.
He'll handle all that. He vets them himself, and then call them a headhunter more commonly because they're responsible for like getting the right heads, like this, like
In
department
place.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's a third party?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We paid $25,000 for the whole search, which is pretty cheap.
Not
compared
bad.
to like a lot of other stuff. Yeah, for sure. And we were entitled to another free round because it didn't bear fruit. And I was looking forward to that. Yeah.
Oh, but that's been closed, right?
That's out. They hired the third choice. He was our third choice, the guy we have now.
Got you.
The first guy can't name him legally, but he some real confidential stuff this whole process because two of them were acting city managers. The guy we hired, he had been on leave for he had been fired since like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the two guys that were in, they were acting city managers, so they didn't want the word to go out that I'm interviewing in San Bernardino because what's my counsel going to think when I go back? They're going to clip me. And one of them did get clipped.
They found out.
Yeah, they found out.
Through the grapevine.
But the first guy we had was incredible. And we had the votes to get him and everything. And this was a Friday we had an interview with him. And Saturday we got an email that he withdrew because somebody from his police department came into his office. One of his friends, thank God, came into his office and was like, I heard you're interviewing in San Bernardino, man. And he was just like, so just straight damage control. Like he went into straight damage control mode. He was like, basically like, don't call me. Like, like, don't call me, nothing. Like, he had some pretty high demands. That's why we were even like in the process of, instead of approving him right then on that Friday, we wanted to give it the weekend, like let him know what our negotiating terms were.
Yeah.
Lost him.
Got you.
And the second place guy came in, and I wasn't going to go for that either. But that got really ugly. Information got leaked. He ended up losing his job.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was definitely like
nasty.
Ultimately, the council was responsible here for it. Yeah.
That's nasty. So it's definitely someone. What do they call it? Like insider trade to the first guy.
Yeah. Somebody here, someone on our council
definitely
went to our police department.
Definitely.
There's not a lot of people who got that relationship with police.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Actually, I have an investigation going on.
About that?
Figure out like where these leaks came from.
Got you. Yeah. What do you think would happen if they found out who leaked what to what? What do you think would happen?
Best case, there's no best case. Worst case scenario, someone they get censured. It's like a public shaming, kind of. Like,
okay, tar and feathered.
Yeah, where you're not like removed from office or anything like that. We did it to the mayor last time, the last mayor, because he had the State of the City event, and he used like high propensity voters, like a list of voters who he knows votes a lot, and he mailed them invitations.
Specifically,
not anybody else, just them.
Smart.
Like, it was smart.
I gotta give
dirty.
it to the hustle. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. No, he was clever. He was our baby Trump, man, because like he knew.
Baby Trump.
Yeah, because he wasn't afraid to do stuff, but he knew a lot more than I would think like Trump knew about operating in the Oval.
Gotcha.
But he knew how to run like through all the little cracks in the city, like all the gray area, like he lived in there.
Nice. You know what that makes me think of when you say baby Trump? Mini me.
Yeah, exactly. I got some good memes I'll show you all.
Do you? Oh,
yeah, really
I'm gonna have to share some of those.
Yeah, they're good, man. They're really good.
Okay, wow, that's so gnarly, bro.
Yeah, treacherous stuff, man.
Holy
But not
shit.
to be taken lightly, though. That's why it looked as treacherous and nasty as it did, because I was like, this feel like the most important decision of my life. Like hiring a new city manager, dude. This is the CEO of the city. This is the person who's responsible for the day-to-day operations. They answer to us, but like I can't tell the police chief what to do, Public Works who fixes the streets, Parks and Rec. Legally in our charter, we cannot tell them what to do. We can ask things of them, but the city manager tells them what to do. That's their boss. We tell him what to do, like, hey man, I need that park fixed, blah, blah, blah. That's the best way to do it. And then you expect the city manager to be like on the Parks and Rec director's head. But we can't follow through and be like, did you tell her? Like, are you doing such and such? Because we can't even tell him what to tell them. We can just tell him what we need done. That's the way the city's structured. Yeah.
That's how the charter. Can the charter be rewritten?
Yeah, I can. We'd have to vote on it again. But right now it's a council manager form of government. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Exactly how it's structured. Like the council has the ability to appoint the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney. And we're allowed to tell the three of them what to do. No one else. If we cross lines and talk to staff directly, like without them knowing about it, that's a violation of the Brown Act technically, based on how our city is set up in the charter.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The city manager has a lot of power, basically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Gotcha.
They're like the strongest non-elected official. Yeah, but we
Gotcha.
appoint them. That's when the mayor votes too, though. The mayor does vote on those three positions: city manager, city clerk, city attorney.
Gotcha.
Appointment and removal. She has a vote.
Gotcha. So the city manager would definitely be a big component of getting that rent
Yes.
thing done.
And our last city manager, he knew about an item that was in the chamber, but it didn't look directly like that. I think that some of those things like pissed off certain council members, because essentially he brought it up. Because from the moment 2 years ago when I said I want tenant rights like to be like explicit in the city, and I wanted to go so far as like maybe contemplating rent control, nothing came. And then out of nowhere one day, he said like, yeah, I've heard a lot of public comments. We're going to have this item. It was city manager. He makes the agendas. So he was like,
That's going to be brought to the council.
yeah. And he was like, rent stabilization. Let's see what they do with this. I was like, dude, this is incredible. It felt like, because he's my first real city manager. The last guy didn't really know what he was doing before him.
Okay.
But this dude, a seasoned vet, and he wanted to do the right thing, man. He came back to San Bernardino really to like love on it for a little bit. Yeah, get us back on our feet.
Gotcha. Is there a possibility while the new city manager is in that the previous one can like come back and show him a little bit of,
He could if he like,
if he wanted to?
yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't expect him to though.
Okay.
He lives in San Diego.
Oh.
And the way that we did him, like I just described to you.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Why? Yeah.
Why would I do that? I don't owe them anything, you know?
That
Y'all
part.
really did me like that at the end.
True. You're going to do me dirty and I'm going to come back and help you? Yeah. True.
All right.
Very
Fool
true.
me once. All right.
Yeah. Fool me twice. What is, I was reading the
Fool me
Bush
once.
quote.
What? Oh, yeah. When he just stopped, he didn't know how to end. Fool me twice.
Can't be, what is that? Can't be fooled
Can't
again.
be fooled again.
Something like that. Something like that.
Shout out J. Cole for putting that on the track.
That part. That was actually the first Zoom city council meeting I actually watched, was that day.
The city manager appointment?
Yes.
Oh my
That was the
gosh.
first one I watched, and
That was us on full display. So you
yeah,
saw. No
was,
questions.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, is this how the meeting always goes? And something really in particular happened that day, right? That
Oh, the Zoom bombing?
the Zoom bombing.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you personally, because I think you were I could be wrong, but I think you're the only one that really addressed the situation what happened.
Yeah,
So
man.
what was your thoughts when that situation happened? If you guys don't know, you want to let people know what happened that day?
Yeah, so forgive me. I don't get enough sleep these days, so
No, no
when I
problem.
yawn sometimes it's just
Got
like,
you.
well
We're
up.
boring him. We're boring him
No,
to
no
the
way.
folks.
This is great. I've been enjoying this a lot. So people were coming up for public comment to the podiums in person at the Feldheim Library, and they were voicing on anything on the agenda, anything they on and off the agenda they could speak to. Most of the people were speaking about what the biggest item was, which was adopting or formally accepting this employment contract with the new city manager, and he was there in person. Something I got passed in 2020 was Zoom participation at these meetings. It's
Yeah.
important, like for accessibility. So you can also view it online. Obviously, that's legal. Like we legally have to do that. But for you to be able to participate, like from your house, you're at home, you're at work, or after you got off work, you're tired. Maybe you're on your lunch break or something like that
Yeah.
at midnight or whenever we get to it, and you're able to give public comment. So Amy Malone comes up. She's giving her comment. And apparently the way our Zoom was set up, people could just unmute themselves. City clerk is responsible for that. But somebody came off of mute. Amy Malone is a black woman. And he started calling her the N-word. Told her to go back to Africa. Called her a fat black N-word. And it just like... It was just, dude, I can't even like put into words. I'm almost like taken right back to it. I was triggered. I was like this is happening right now. This is really happening. He's still saying stuff. Like that's what I was thinking. I was looking straight at the city clerk like close your fucking laptop, you know? Like
You could
figure it
mute
out.
him.
Like, yeah. Or you could just mute him. But she was like focused, so she took a picture of who it was and stuff. Because no picture, but just the phone number. But basically what had happened, and the biggest thing was that the person responsible for chairing the meeting, Fred Charette, he's the mayor pro tem. He's like the vice mayor when the mayor's not there in person. She was there on that Zoom though. Mm-hmm. And she could have unmuted herself as well. But Charette was leading that, and he basically just glossed over it. And she was like, you're just gonna, like, you owe me an apology. And he was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't control that, blah, blah, blah. You can continue with your comment. And it didn't really get the pause at all, that it deserved. It just like, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And so as soon as the comments opened up, like, does the council want to say anything about this item? Before that, too, was weird. They let the guy, Charles Montoya, who were contemplating the contract, they let him give him a microphone to defend himself. It's just never been done. And then we got to speak. And so I spoke first because when it's that kind of situation, we all had an idea on the left. Councilman Calvin and Alexander, that we were going to vote in opposition, but no one really wants to be the first person to like say some shit sometimes. And so I was like, fuck
it. Yeah.
And I started off with the apology because I was like, damn, I feel like I'm apologizing to my mom right now, bro. Like, no one said shit to this lady. She just got verbally assaulted in public and just thugged it out. She just pushed through too. I was like, even though I admire that, like, fuck that narrative. Like, we don't do that anymore. We don't have to deal with that anymore. Like, we don't just eat shit and continue about our day. But it looked as racist as I feel like it was. Like, no one really gave a shit about it. Like, obviously we were offended because we're black, but like the other council members, it just felt like a deep segregation, like right down the middle. Mm-hmm. This is exactly how they feel. Exactly how they feel. Fast forward, my mom FaceTimed me asking about that. She was like, one of my friends said she saw you on the news. I said, oh shit.
Oh, it blew up. Okay.
I was like, what happened? And she was like, no. And I Googled it, KTLA 5, but they put a little segment of me apologizing. And I was like, damn, thank you for that shit, at least. But it wasn't about like who got credit for an apology. It was that San Bernardino was known for racism once again. This is a racist ass place and has been for a very long time. Very long time. And it's no secret, man. There used to be race riots between black and brown people. That's not unique to just San Bernardino, but that is our history. And then rewind further, Sundowner Town, like nobody of color outside, segregated swimming pools. You got Second Park, bro, the dude segregated the damn city. You got schools named after racist people and shit. And so that was on the news, and our response, the mayor's response became, over the weekend, you know what, like, I got to do something. We're going to have a press conference to denounce racism. And I did not, bruh. It was a joke, like dog and pony shit. So I went up there, said my piece, heard the other two council members kind of like, to be honest with you, I love them, but it just was like, is this a campaign speech? Like, what's going on here? I was talking to the pastors that morning. They were like, we're not standing with the mayor. Like, we know what this is. Like, what the hell? What is it? Nothing. Like, this is dumb. Like, do something real. And when it came time for the press conference, reluctantly, the 3 black council members show up, Vietnamese mayor, the whole right side of the dais, none of them showed up.
Not one?
Not one of them. So that's the story, man.
Got you. Very interesting. It kind of makes you think like, was that planned? Because if that's the
Plan
case,
to not go to that thing? Or the comments?
The comments
I don't know.
allowed into the Zoom, because then that means anyone could have just been unmuted the whole time. But that was
right.
But right. I think I watched the whole thing, and I think that was the only mute outbreak that happened.
Yeah, mostly people don't. unmute themselves, I guess. But I've been on so many Zoom meetings since the pandemic that, like, if it's a presentation or like a formal like meeting, like a council meeting,
Yeah.
you can't just come off mute. I've even given public comment at the Air Quality Management District. I had to wait, but you best believe I've tried to unmute.
Yeah, they're like,
you can't.
no access.
Like, you can't. Yeah. Then they have to ask you to unmute, and you're like, okay, I got a window here. Unmute. And then they can mute you back. We clearly didn't have it set up like that.
Very interesting.
And so everybody was dancing around that too. But I was like, no, we're going to take blame for that because who the fuck do you think is responsible for this? The mystery man? The Wizard of Oz?
Got you. The guy behind the curtain?
The guy behind the curtain?
Who was it?
That's us, right?
Yeah, it was an unfortunate event. And I think I was speaking to the director, Liddy, about it. I ran into her at the farmer's market and she was shocked. She didn't know that type of thing happened here. And I
Right.
you know, and I think it was kind of like an eye opener, kind of, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, but I thank you for addressing it, number one, when it happened, because you would think everyone would have said something. And I think Liddy mentioned something really important too, which she was like, if that was me, I would have stopped the whole meeting.
The whole meeting?
Yeah, I would have stopped the whole meeting.
Figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man. We're going to figure out what's happening. Go ahead. Give her time back. Hold on. You know, like real decorum, like real, like you're the boss of this meeting. Mm-hmm. Do some boss shit. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't fucking happen. Like,
Maybe
that had me hot, dude.
I can imagine. Wait.
I was like, this is really happening just like this right now.
Facts. He's like, I'm not even in Mississippi, 1940. I'm in
What
California,
I'm in Southern
2023.
California, right?
2023.
Sunny Southern California.
I just came from surfing yesterday, and
Right.
now I'm
Right.
hearing this. You know what's crazy? It made me think, you know, something that gets someone else hot makes someone else feel good.
Right. Somebody definitely felt seen when those comments came out.
You know, or felt
That's
good.
like Trump. That's what I was talking about. Like racism taking that step out the closet. Like ever since 2016, for real.
Yeah.
Racism's always been around. You already know. But ever since 2016, like people are like frothing at the opportunity to feel seen by racist outbursts and shit.
Gotcha. And I always, you know, we're going to stop the racism talk, folks, but I have to say this, and I think I said it before, but I think you got too much time on your hand to be racist.
Yeah.
Do something else. Yeah. Like you want to spend
Takes
your
so much effort.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like really, like go build a house. Like
Right.
you don't have kids to take care of. You know,
Right.
something more productive.
I had to show up to this meeting to assault her.
Yeah, you know, whatever it is. You know, I think that's interesting. And so, that's what it is. I hear from a lot of San Bernardino locals, you know, businesses, people that are really involved in the community, and they say San Bernardino has a lot of potential, a lot of growth potential,
Right.
so much potential, but the thing that's holding it back is the policies. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I agree. And for the reasons, the policies we were discussing, like that's the kind of stuff. You have to allow people to have more spending money. And there's various ways that we could do that, like rent control, like establishing a warehouse moratorium that would get us some answers that we can translate into actual policy, like the wages in there or the work quotas. Figure out like what our legal ability is to rein in some of this stuff. Incentivize more affordable housing development, like doing it the right way. Building businesses in our downtown, incentivizing. That's something Charles McNeely was doing too. Mm-hmm. It's incentivizing businesses and restaurants from other cities even. Hey, you ever thought about operating in downtown San Bernardino? What would that take? Yeah. And then being real and him bringing us something that we could do in order to make it happen. Guy like that goes away. You're just relying on the next guy. Gotcha. And so I'll be in contact with him. And I told him I have a list of things from him that he was working on. But mostly I'm going to have to more than likely go outside of our city to figure out like policies as examples in other cities. Like I watched LA a lot. Mm-hmm. And just seeing like, oh, that's a really good idea. I can do that here. Let's try it.
Gotcha.
It was that simple as a council member.
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste, man. Shit ain't new. Like, that stuff's not new.
Gotcha. Because I remember I spoke to Nathan Freeman, who obviously you knew was the economic development.
That one hurt.
You know, and I was like, I don't see him, and I
wish him luck though, for sure.
Did he leave as well?
He left. Yeah, him, and he took his right hand to our planning manager. They came in as a package. And
yeah, that's what I remember you telling me.
That one.
Because they had some good plans, right, for the city?
Yeah. We were working. I can say it now. it probably would have pissed council members off, like favoritism or some shit. But I have a huge property over there in the north end, way up there in Vermont. And those people, there's a huge shopping center, but the landlord there, this guy is a character. And he like does not want a grocery store. I've been trying to put a grocery store up there for the longest. And so he was telling me before he went, he was like, just between me and you, the Bice property, he was like, I've heard the residents. He was like, sit down restaurants and a grocery store, like a real grocery store. Then he left. I don't blame him though, man. They had council members, they had residents, commissioners who were just like ripping them apart, like basically accusing them of being crooked, like in public meetings.
Gotcha.
How often do you think someone's going to take that? You know?
Yeah.
Especially when you have that skill set. He's good.
Yeah, I think he said him and his partner, I forget his name. I can't think.
David Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, they helped revive Riverside. They were talking. He was telling me about like, hey, he's like, we brought Riverside. Yeah, so they had a reputation of bringing a community out into something good, right?
Yeah. I hope they're doing well, to be honest.
Say it again?
So I hope they're doing well, man.
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
They're good people. Nathan was a really good man.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah. And it's just unfortunate because it's just like we're trying to get these great people in and we get them and then the politics, I don't want to use that word, but I guess
it is, though. Politics and everything.
Yeah, they're pushing these good opportunities out, you know? And I don't...
And he had a lot of work too. Another part of it, then what we've been working on here is hiring more positions to like spread the workload. Because like guys like Nathan Freeman were responsible for like homelessness, economic development, housing. Like these are like separate chapters in economic development, you know? He just should have been overseeing like economic development. Like his team, he should have had a team of people reporting. We didn't give him what he needed.
Got you.
So we're working on that now still.
Got you.
For the next person.
To help delegate more better, to be more accurate, more efficient.
Yeah. Worried about most concerned about getting people who can respond to constituents. Like when you call the direct line, someone who follows up with you, like, hey, this issue's been resolved. Or if you got a question about it, I'm basically a specialist on these issues. And then also getting like upper management staff that can handle projects. Like you're straight up responsible for housing, separate, homelessness, separate.
Gotcha.
All that. Economic development
separate. I like that. Because I remember Nathan when I was talking to him, he was like, yeah, we're going to this is like before the mall was getting teared down. He's like, yeah, we're going to tear down the mall. And then we're going to put a park. We're going to build this place where we have like food court underneath and then a housing above it.
You had a vision.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool. That's going to work. You know?
That'd be sick. Yeah, dude.
I think what'll happen, I guess we just got to keep fighting. And I do believe it takes the local businesses to come in and people like you to like collab. And I think it can happen. It's going to take time.
It takes time.
And faith. And faith.
And faith.
Yeah.
You got to believe this place is worth
that
it.
That part. On a different note, outside of politics and stuff like that, what does Benjamin Christmas like to do for fun?
Surf, mostly. I just love to be in water. But listen to music all the time. All the time. I listen to all types of music.
Okay. Like, what were you listening to when you got over here?
Oh, who was I bumping? I think I was bumping Drake.
I was going to ask. Yeah. Okay. The new album?
I've been on Tizo Touchdown heavy, though.
Got you.
Tizo Touchdown. Listen to Tizo Touchdown.
Got you. What do you think about the album? I had Elwin on, who's a good artist, MC. I'm also into trading. He said he wasn't that fan of an album. What's your thoughts on the album?
Like most Drake projects, they age. I think they. My nephew's a clown. I'll say they age like fine wine. My nephew said, "Man, this thing aging or marinating like chitlins." Okay,
dang, a little funky.
No, it just I don't know. I love some of the lyrics and just the beats are always. I like the old Drake. Like my favorite song on the album is 8 a.m. in Charlotte.
Okay.
Because like super slow and it feels like he just like took his time and wrote it. I don't like all necessarily like the really crazy songs. One of the songs that grew on me for sure, and I think people are lying if they say it's not catchy as hell, is that bend that let that with Sexy Red.
Yeah.
But I listen to opera more than anything, to be honest with you. Like
opera?
On the way to council meetings, like Marie Callas, Al Martino, like old school Italian songs and things. I listen to pretty much everything except for country music.
You listen to opera.
I actively listen to opera. Like when I get my
Nice.
playback, like Maria Callas has been in my top 3 like the past like 6 years.
Gotcha. Have you been to any operas?
Only the LA Opera once.
What did you watch?
The Clemency of Titus. It was incredible. It really was. And it was a black lead. I loved it. King Titus.
Nice.
It was emotional as hell. I was like, really moves you, especially when you're there.
Opera is very beautiful. I had this conversation with someone last time. I forgot who it was, but Mozart, who's known for writing operas, he's got a famous opera called The Magic Flute. Anyway, long story short, sometimes there's some subtle racism in these operas, you know. But anyway,
Italians are racist.
Not I don't know. Well, Mozart was Austrian.
Yeah. But the opera really like took grip and hold in like Sicily.
Yeah, that's where it definitely comes
Northern
from.
Italy,
Yeah, the opera scene comes. That's why there's like a music history time. So people from different countries would write operas in Italian because it was known from there, and then there became a culture like, I'm gonna write opera in my language because I'm German or I'm Russian or I'm French. Right. Anyway, but opera is dope. Definitely.
Latin too.
Say it again.
Latin, like most of the classics are like composed in Latin for sure.
I don't know if they're
like Maria Callas, who I listen to, for example. She like a lot of her songs are like straight Latin.
Okay,
Yeah.
it
You're
must
like,
be.
Whoa, some of them.
Must be pre-classical, yeah.
Yeah, it's classical. It's like 1940s, 50s.
I mean, like the composition must be pre-classical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think they start singing in Latin anymore unless it's
No way.
Anyway, they're doing some music history, but hopefully they'll have some opera down the street in our San Bernardino Symphony with Anthony Pratner.
That dude is dope.
Yeah, great guy.
That's like our secret gem.
Bro, he's always around, man. He's always around. We're gonna get you, bro.
Doing Disney scores, man. I said, what? Star Wars and The Lion King?
That part. I think he did like even like a collab with like a hip hop artist recently. I'm like, man, this guy is.
Oh, he's on multiple like big films too.
Yeah. He's always on a big film. Like, oh, like, man, you did. I think he did Avatar. I think he did the Avatar.
That's the one.
I was like,
that's when I was like, whoa.
It's like, bro, you're everywhere.
You come back to San Bernardino later?
Yeah.
Let's keep him.
It's like I'll be there for a week and then I'm gone again. For sure.
For sure.
You know, I think, you know, you've been in political office at least since 2018. We're in 2023, going on 2024 now. I think you kind of mentioned that, you know, this doesn't last forever.
No.
And you have an interest in becoming a teacher, maybe teaching about American Lit.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yep.
Is there any thoughts or ideas of wanting to even pursue higher levels of the political office for you?
Yeah. To be very honest, I didn't run just to like end on the local level. Like I want to be a U.S. Senator before I die. Like one of the two, but I don't care if it's from California or Mississippi.
Got you.
I think it'd be more powerful to be probably a California senator with Mississippi roots. But it also is equally, I think, as dope to have California roots
in Mississippi. Hey.
Yeah. I feel like I've lived in America, like for sure.
That part. Yeah. Would you have to be chewing on twine while you're in Mississippi?
No, man. It'd be different. It'd be different. The representation would pretty much look the same.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'd probably just wear more suits probably.
Got you. Yeah. They know how to dress out there in the South. They're like, boy, you can't come onto the
right.
Boy, you can't come to a politician meeting with a jacket on, boy.
I've been called out here for somebody came up and said like, I don't like that. Like talking about what I was wearing and stuff. So I made my public comment about young people and like not caring like what the hell you're wearing. That shit does not represent you. Like, you represent you, like in whatever way you want it to be.
True.
Doesn't matter how people are fully perceiving you, man. Like you adopt and accept that. It's a choice. I don't see myself as what I wear.
Gotcha.
In any way. Nah.
But it does help a little bit.
It helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for example, you said you like to dress up when you talk to the kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. But adults, I'm like,
fuck you.
Get over it. You're old enough to like hear what I'm saying right now. Like get past what you see.
Close your eyes.
Even that shit.
Yeah.
If you're feeling so bold.
Yeah, close your eyes. Tell me what you see. Tickle time.
Yeah.
Ben, what's what's a couple of things, or what's one thing that even some close people don't know about you that you're willing to share with us?
Phew. I think close people do know. I'm into astrology. Not every sign, but my own. I'm a Taurus,
Okay.
and I really love being a Taurus. I feel like a bull, like a necessary bull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like the person who will say stuff that maybe not everybody wants to hear, but oftentimes probably needed to hear. And I feel like I don't always do that assessment on the fly, but when I'm justifying it or not guilting myself for saying it afterwards, because you know what? Like somebody definitely needed to hear that shit. Being a necessary asshole sometimes. My partner always says, like, don't call yourself that. And I'm like, I don't take it offensively, and I don't think other people, like, if you really peel it back a little bit, like sometimes people in your family have said something to you, tell you a real hard truth, and you've been like, damn, like you're an asshole. I've never been afraid to be that person. Been really observant my whole life, but I've had nothing but older sisters, and so my sisters have definitely tried to tell me how to live my life, basically until I ran for office in 2020. They had a vision. Pretty much everybody in my family had a vision for me. And I think a lot of people experience that too, where everybody knows what you should be doing, knows, and feels like they have your best interest at heart, instead of allowing you to it's like I shocked people when I ran for office more in my family than the outside world. And it's like, what does that say about us? It says you should have let me do what I was always going to do. And guess what? I did. So now that you're uncomfortable, I don't expect an apology or anything like that, but I expect you to be comfortable enough to tell me the truth. Why do you feel that way? And I extend that same kind of grace to the community, like people I deal with. I try to be raw and candid with them because I don't want to have a conversation where I'm talking real with somebody and they're giving me answers or responses and they feel like that's the right thing. Like I should be saying this or that. Like their responses are like, oh, I'm talking to a politician, so I shouldn't cuss or just be candid and tell him hey, I rock with you, but also you kind of suck here, type stuff. I want to hear that. I want other necessary assholes to tell me how I can be better so that I can be better. So yeah, that'd be the thing, that I'm into astrology specifically because I love being a bull.
Okay.
Straight up. Yeah.
Specifically your astrological sign.
Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
And I agree. I think the asshole, quote unquote asshole, is well, it's basically not. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Exactly.
Because I think sugarcoating is how people get in trouble.
That's how we don't advance, man.
Yeah.
More often than not. Yeah.
As opposed to putting the fire to your ass and hey,
exactly.
Here's the truth, here's the fact.
Right.
Which I think is necessary.
Yeah.
What did your family expect for you? Because
most of my family,
they wanted something different, and you were like, yeah.
So my family's really successful on my dad's side.
What does that mean?
They all make pretty much six figures.
Okay.
A few people like my aunt and my sister have gone into their own field, started their own practices, in social work specifically. Very educated in a time where their family was able to afford it. And because of that, it wasn't necessarily what I should be as a particular kind of career path, but more so whatever I'm doing, I should be doing more and I should be going towards whatever that is. I should have a visible trajectory if I could view it from their side.
Okay.
But the reality was, and I was very cognizant that my family on my dad's side specifically, I was the bad black kid. My dad's Mexican. My cousins are half white. And so me and my siblings were the brown kids in the family. My grandpa was racist, for sure. Treated some of my sisters worse than he did me. Different generation, man, where it was just that's just what it was. And that's the story they claim. But combine all those factors of being the black sheep, the little black kid, the one who talked too much in school, the one who always in trouble, always grounded and stuff. Most of my family, I would say probably until I ran for office, they thought I was generally just a fuck up. I was just not going to be anything. I grew up, divorced parents. My dad, a couple times before he passed, when I was younger, he would say shit to me you didn't get that from me. You got that from your mom's side of the family. That was some subtle racism from my dad.
Low key.
Yeah. And I was like very aware of it at the time. I was just like, what the? But all that stuff really just emboldened me. Like I knew what I wanted to do. It wasn't necessarily to be a politician. I know I want to be a college professor, but I didn't realize that until I was like 22 years old in college, like receiving an incredible like professor, you know, and education down in Mississippi.
You want to give a shout out to the professor that kind of inspired you?
Yeah, sure. Dr. Watson was probably my favorite, and Dr. Frankie. Watson was, I think, from Idaho, but Dr. Frankie was a NorCal boy. He was from Sacramento. All the professors, like people here, I went to University of Southern Mississippi, and they're like, some people will be like, interesting. Like, how was that? I'm like, dude, all my professors came from USC and shit. Like, they're all from California, like all of them. Like, literally every single one of them. They just taught somewhere that was more affordable. Yeah, that's really why I stayed there too. I had that in-state tuition. Live with my mom. Oh yeah. But yeah, man, everybody definitely thought, but it just made me like real callous. But I relied on my nature, and that's why I'm so appreciative now as an adult, because I do believe like astrology has something to do with like who we are as individuals. It can tell us some things. It doesn't have to dictate. I don't believe in it like prescripting like what you're going to be or how you're indefinitely set. But it made me bold enough, like that I wasn't really fazed by internal critique, like constantly. I was aware that I wasn't enough or whatever. But I watched my sisters and my other, like one of my cousins, other people in my family, and I would say even like my father at times and my aunts, strive to be successful, and they were chasing something that they knew wasn't attainable because it was not their own. The idea of success or what that meant, what that threshold was where they would be satisfied, was something they knew was just elusive, that they were never fully going to catch it, but they kept trying to be better and better for their mother or each other. It was an internal rat race. It was dumb. That was like the stuff I had to leave California to realize in Mississippi. Like, this is in the air here. Like the anxiety, the rat race, like you can't even sit still because you're aware like something is happening outside. And even if you do chill for long enough, start to like drive yourself crazy because you know like there's probably something I could do. You know, and that's why people were freaking, you know, like doing other things with their time. We're just like checking out, doing whatever they can to check out and stay checked out. Yeah, man, that's a part of this too. It's like I ran for office and I represent the way that I do because I want people to realize like even though you might feel like you got to be checked out all the time, like when you do pay attention for a moment, it's worth it. True. You see some real shit.
Yeah, big facts. And basically, what's cool is that you went your own way. And I think I was talking to Nicholas Gray about this, which is like, it's kind of hard to, when everyone else in your family is doing like this same route type of thing, it's kind of hard to find your own way, but not only find your own way, but to believe in your own way and to know that you're, you know, my way is going to be different and I have to look at things differently than how they've seen it type of thing. Yeah. You know, Ben, I want to thank you so much for being on The Empire, man. Can you tell us all a couple of your current projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so right now, trying to bring forward the restricted truck route still. We are going to get the Dodgers Dream Fields. The groundbreaking is supposed to be December 14th. That's going to be at Blair Park. We're going to get some brand new baseball fields up there. But more than anything, I think I want people to be on the lookout because I'll capture a lot of the stuff that we are working on. That I want you to know that there is a very real just element to people from San Bernardino and continuing to represent you in an authentic way where it's not just always like what you want to hear or directly what you're asking for even. I want to go beyond that. I want to fix your street and I want to appeal to your heart. And so we have a documentary that we're going to actually air. Me and my friend Michael are working on for the Garcia Center for the Arts. They're doing that the film festival. I believe submissions begin, I think, December 12th. I have to get it in by or so, or the 7th. Yeah. But it's going to be short and sweet, and I want everybody to be on the lookout for that because it has been a hell of a time, not only being elected, which has been the greatest privilege of my entire life to represent you, but to see even sometimes, you know, the inconvenient truths of this work, that people who rocked with you in the first round, who aren't getting, you know, the next warehouse or They're not being able to kind of just shaft you continuously or bribe you. Those are the people who are still very active in our community, and I want the world to know not only who they are, but what it looks like to stand up to them and just be San Bernardino.
I love that. I love that. So Ben, let's say 100 years pass by, half a millennia passes by, 300 years pass by. What would you like your empire to look like, Benjamin Christmas, whether it's politically, family, surfing, being a boy from Mississippi living in California, or California living in Mississippi? What would you like your empire to look like a millennia from now?
I think that the world is full of young, energetic, unapologetically honest representatives that money kind of like is second to humanity, if not third through 10th in the priority list for what it takes to be just a better society. But one tangible thing I want before I die is I want to bring forth the 4-day work week for sure. And to be honest with you, I want to nationalize a lot of corporations. Sounds like a radical idea. But I think 100, 200, 300 years from now, the government, and by the government, I mean the people, own, control, benefit from all these corporations. No more privatization.
Ooh, love it. Benjamin, thank you so much for being on The Empire. Can you please tell everybody how they can find you, reach you, support you, collab? Can you please let everyone know how they can do that and find you?
Yeah, Ben Reynoso. You can find me on any social media at Vote Reynoso. That's VOTEREYNOSO. And more importantly, in the city of San Bernardino, when it comes time, I believe about the end of February through March 5th, and hopefully we don't have to go to a runoff, but see it there too. Catch me on your ballot and go ahead and fill in that bubble next to it. We got work to do.
Boom, as simple as that. And again, I want to thank Ben for being on and thank all you guys
Thank you
for listening. I'll have also everything that we talked about, his links in the description, so you guys can just click on it and find him. And I think we learned a lot today. We learned about him being a surfer. That's still in my mind, you know, he learned surfing. How basically he was torn between staying in Mississippi and actually like falling in love with Mississippi, but then, you know, having the urge to come back to California and then, you know, not really looking at, you know, running, but then running in California and then just doing great work out here and obviously attacking the warehousing situations that we have. We've learned so much about this gentleman. And again, I want to thank him for being on. I want to thank all you guys. If you guys haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share this video, comment down below what you thought. If you want to support us, you can do our Cash App, which is $THEE Empire Podcast. Same thing for Venmo, /.me, The Empire Podcast on PayPal. My name's Antonio Lee Miles, if you didn't know. And other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right? Peace.
Peace.
I say it's my duty, yeah. Is it my will, yeah, to do what, yeah, to do is right. I say.
That's
Thank you,
dope.
boss.
Yeah, that's fun, man.
It was cool?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, look at the time. I was like, damn, we've been kicking it.